Hello, welcome to the Envy McKee Show. Ow! Envy McKee here. DJ Frosty Phoenix, Martin the Man.
Sup?
Happy Friday. We made it.
Yeah.
I'm going to warn you right now. Well, first of all, the Woo Woo Metaphysical Studio is officially open. You know what I'm saying? We about to. I hope it doesn't sound like that. I hope it doesn't. I don't want it to ever sound like that, like creaking.
Yes,
it's like somebody's wallet.
No,
I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. We need
it's
a different
old temple.
No. We are ageless. We are ageless, timeless wisdom. But I feel like the doors. I feel like the doors go. Shoo.
No, this is like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No creaking. No creaking. Not into it.
What was that movie?
Some folks' bones is creaking. We don't want that.
Well, I see metaphysical. I think about Eddie Murphy in that movie with the child.
Oh,
I want the golden child. Yes, the golden child.
I want the night.
We are the golden child.
Please.
Exactly. With that leather coat on.
We need a job. Listen, going to Tibet.
Yes, we're going to Philly, Tibet. That's what we should call it.
Tibet.
I love
Tibet.
That's what's up.
Tibet.
We need to get a Fitbit, Fitbit sponsorship for our
Tibet. Nice. So we are unpacking this our shift prompt. I guess there should be more of a something for this month's shift prompt. We have a new month.
Yes.
It is we are
time to get back to work.
Look, we are about to be in fall. The fall equinox is this month.
That's right.
So we're shifting. Yes, we're shifting seasons. We are shifting our mindsets. The kiddies went back to school this week and the week before. So so there's lots of changes going on this month.
There's no food in the supermarkets because all the college kids are back in town.
Why?
All the college kids are back in town.
Here.
Right now where you are.
You're right.
Like I'm in the city.
Like,
I'm in the city.
There's plenty of food. It's a plethora.
These kids, all 7 colleges back.
You're like, no, there's no food. There's no food. So that being said, Spirit was giving me the insight that this month we will be exploring. Our shift prompt is the art of being grace. Not graceful. Embodying grace.
Yeah.
And what does grace mean? Grace is having compassion, like a deep, reverent compassion for our fellow human beings as they, change is afoot, and lots of people are stressed.
Yeah.
There's just this kind of understanding that for a lot of people summer's over, so it's back to the grind. People are making really big decisions, for their lives.
Change of guard is coming, November.
Change of
guard.
Change of the guard.
Yep. People worry about their jobs because, 4 black women are going to take over, and Grace may or may not be one of the things that they embody. Get ready, Philly.
Listen. So
Sheriff's office.
Listen.
Register wheels.
Listen. He's just going to go through all of them. So go on.
Okay, all right. Jamie got here, takes it over for Jenny Blackwell. Opportunity Zone is now under the whole different generation. West Philly.
Like all the things.
Yes.
So I feel like we're going to explore grace this month from all different perspectives. Dr. Jima is going to be on today, our fellow life explorer.
Yes,
so we're going to, have one of our famous metaphysical conversations with Dr. Jima.
Can we unpack really who Dr. Jima is?
I feel like you're never on the show that she unpacks who she is.
I am. I was on the first show. Well, I wasn't on the first show, but I was on the first time I was on air. She was
we can.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because I think that's important. What's her work that she does?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think she gets overshadowed sometimes.
Criminal justice, because we explore lots of stuff.
Right.
You're that guy. You're that student that walks into class late and goes, "Can we go through that lesson 1 again?" We're on lesson 5.
No, but what he's talking about for this month specifically because she's in criminal justice and she.
Yeah. But no, I'm that student that's sitting in the back and realizes that there's 12 idiots in the class who aren't listening at all because they haven't been really impacted by the teacher. And I just bring up one point, and then they go, "Oh," they sit up and listen because I understand what the teacher's trying to get them to think.
You say it in the way that they understand.
Yeah, but the teacher's not supposed to get anybody to think anything. It's the teacher's job to present the information. It's the student's job to figure out what they're going to think.
I would love to. I'd love to have that conversation with you at 9. Let's see, at 9:40. Let's unpack that.
9:40.
Because I think that's a whole 20-minute conversation. I think the teacher has responsibility other than presenting.
Absolutely, the teacher has responsibility, but I feel like learning is a cipher. And I cannot, no matter how much, let's go all the way back. When we talk about grades, let me move this microphone. Move this microphone so you can see.
I feel this is a 1987 conversation.
Listen.
With KRS-One.
One thing that I have learned about being married for 3 months, right, is that just because I am clear in my head about what information I'm presenting does not mean the recipient is clear in their heads about what information I am presenting.
Or that they should be
there's no
available
there's no
to receive. Well, I'm just saying.
But what I'm saying is information is information is information. It's the raw, it's raw materials. Each individual is going to take that raw materials and they're going to build a house. They're going to build
They don't know if they don't see it as a raw material.
None of my business. None of my business.
We got
you know what I'm saying?
We got
None of my business. And
to.
the reason why I have to say that is because I think one of the beautiful things about being married is that I get a lot of the subtext that lots of people walk around life with. Like I get it now
you're like,
I get it. Oh, right. Like you can look at couples and you be like, I get it now. And not to say that, you know, I believe
this is your first marriage, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And prayerfully my last.
Right. Correct. So yeah. Yeah.
So, like, there's something there, and I think that it's powerful that I waited into my mid-40s to be married, because I lost a lot of the bull jank that you go into relationships with. Like I don't come there with that.
Our generation was taught, like, I got married initially at 19 to a 29-year-old who I thought was X, Y, and Z mature because she was 10 years older than me, and she was nowhere clear should have been in a relationship, period, until she unpacked all the stuff.
I'm going to go on and say that most of us are living our relationships from a place of arrested development. We have not matured.
Yeah. And no one tells you this. No one gives you this.
No, we have not.
Yeah, and especially in our community, you know, black and brown, because I'm on the Spanish station in the morning, and it's the same thing in that community.
Everyone.
That we're not given the license for 2 years to take a school year off and go find ourselves. So I'm saying that other communities, primarily the other community I'm talking about is the white community, is allowed to unpack. Are you talking about
gap year? You talking about a gap year?
Yeah, gap year, but just also they backpack through Europe. I mean, just all these kind of things where they get to time to hear the voice inside and
agree
and deal with
correct.
Not all, because poor white folks don't get that either. So it's a class thing, and it's also I think it's a race thing.
It's a class thing, but it is a cultural thing, because our culture is very ethnocentric.
And unmeditative.
That's a word.
That's not a word.
It is a word now. It's a word now. I'm writing it down because that's
unmeditative.
I don't even know how that T-shirt's gonna play out. But
right. This is unmeditative zone.
Yes.
Stay away from me.
Listen, clean that up.
Right.
Clear that out.
Because in Asia, we do make the altars, and they are taught to light the incense and take a moment. May not be a long moment, but they are taught to take a moment. Us, growing up Christian, quote unquote, for me, if I saw an altar, I was like, oh, that's the devil.
That's the devil.
And I can't even, pass it, keep going. And it wasn't the devil. It was that these people wanted to honor their ancestors, and they wanted to
whatever else.
Right. And it was a moment to reflect and be quiet. Now, 30 years later, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that you should do meditation.
Hi.
It's like, wait,
welcome.
I could have been so many things if I had just meditated. But
and I have to push back on that, because I feel like I believe that there are no mistakes. I believe that our life experiences teach us something valuable that we take the journey, that we need for the journey.
That's true.
And I think that, I remember this moment in my life, and I am going back probably preteens or whatever. And I always suffered with perfectionist kind of syndrome, where I felt like I was never good enough. I had a sincere fear of failure, a fear of success. Like, it was a very crippling kind of thing. Like, I'm still recovering. And, you know, I needed to be perfect. But I didn't have access. Like, I didn't have role models like that. It was just, I just wasn't good enough.
Right.
And saying that to say, maybe I was older. Maybe I wasn't, you know, that young. But I think being older, I remember getting kind of an insight that you are not going to be of any benefit to anyone else's journey until you allow yourself to live life and make a mistake.
Woo! Preach, sister. Preach, sister. And here's the thing. That's, to me, we've had this conversation before, but that's the thing. If I could pass on anything to you say 8, I say 10, 12, 11-year-olds, that they can, that information right there, that you have the ability to decide what it is. Not, you can, anything you want. What? Yes, your license is to do. And then maybe, I do remember people saying that in my life, but I remember my voice in my head saying, you either going to be this, you're going to be that, or you're going to be this. Now, thank God, you know, I didn't think drug dealing, robbing, killer, I didn't think that. But I did think I could only achieve 1 or 2 things until computers came along. And that was it. I was going to be a garbage man, I was going to be a preacher, or I was going to be some kind of menial labor.
And you're all of those things. Not the garbage man, though.
I do take out the garbage at home. So
okay, well.
Yeah. Thursdays.
So when we're talking about grace, and as we're going to continue to, you know, explore what that means and the different facets throughout the course of the month, but today's conversation is kind of it's just a general unpacking. When I get these downloads, when Spirit speaks and says, this is what you're going to talk about,
yes.
A lot of times there's nothing else that comes with that. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of those weeks. Sometimes people just plop right in my lap. This is one of those weeks.
Those are nice times.
You know what I'm saying? This is one of those weeks where Spirit was like, you got work to do on this. And what's interesting about that is the work came through my daughter. I have a 13-year-old daughter. Her name is Aubrey, for those of you who are new, who don't know. She's in the 8th grade now, and Aubrey is a 13-year-old, and I see a lot of me in her at her age. That crippling, perfectionist. But the difference is, I didn't have as many distractions. Like I was always a creative. You know what I'm saying? And I always had kind of a rage against the. I'm a Sag too. I always had a kind of a rage against the machine because I had kind of my parents were very hands-on.
Yes, we'll say that.
They're very, and hands-on isn't even a word.
As a lot of parents were in that generation.
Hands-on isn't even a word. They were oppressive.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yes,
they were oppressive.
Yes.
Their biggest fear of me was that I was going to end up pregnant and embarrass them. That was their biggest fear.
And our generation.
Run away and become a dancer.
Well,
and not a stripper, like a 5, 6, 7, 8, and kickball change. Not to say there's anything wrong with strippers. I'm just saying they did not. Their fear was that I was not.
Well, dancing was considered a sex worker. You know, in some black communities, like dancers.
Alvin Ailey. That's not sex work.
No, I know that. I'm saying, but they equate my.
But that's not what. That's not their. That wasn't what they thought.
Oh, they thought you were going to be a ballerina.
They took me out. Listen, I'm telling. They took me out dance classes. They were afraid that I was going to run away.
Let me tell you. So that's interesting.
And I ended up being a dancer anyway.
Right, exactly.
Which is funny.
My parents refused to allow me to travel with school trips. You know, they thought they were
Jehovah's Witness?
Well, but it was also they felt that other kids were going to corrupt me. So they want to show me the world.
Yeah.
And I was going to be like in the Bible, you know, quote unquote, the devil takes the person to the cliff and says, "You could have all this."
And they were afraid
that
I
was
going to
see
have
all this. And I was like, all this of what? Piscataway? like what? All this downtown Newark? I mean, like the riots had happened, and like, really, I want to like hang out downtown North.
Yeah, but it's a control thing. It's a fear of losing control or not having control. And remember that generation, that era was about kids need to be seen and not heard. You're not really people.
Right.
You are you are my offspring. That means you represent me out there in these streets. And so if you not acting right, name. You know what I'm saying? If you not, doing something respectable,
what I said you do,
right? And I have all the answers, and don't ask me no questions, and what I say because I said so,
right?
And so when you think about all of that, there wasn't even a notion like
for identity.
For identity,
there was no grace for
identity.
Right. There was no grace. Well, my grandmother was grace. I don't know who you had in your life, but I had
my grandfather was grace.
Oh, see, I love this. Yeah.
But
and why? I wanted to find out
the
why.
The grace that I was exploring this week was for my parents. That space of forgiveness.
Girl, you went there.
Yeah. The grace was not so much for me, and it wasn't so much exploring the places that I needed grace. It was really about exploring the places that I can show grace for my parents, knowing that they did the best that they could.
Well,
and being able to talk about all the things that happened that I felt were, oppressive, that were, I could have been. That's the hardest conversation to have with yourself, that when you go, I could have been if my parents had been. But the reality is you were exactly where you were supposed to be because your parents were exactly who they were supposed to be. And you weren't here for that, because if you were here for that, you would have done that.
Yeah, I do say it's... My father didn't have parents, so I have grace for what he went through in trying to raise me and the oppressive woman that he was married to. But that oppressive person, this was more than oppressive. A friend of mine wrote a book about, originally the title was "Why Does He Hate You?" And it was talking about black men who had oppressive mothers who wanted to keep their sons under their thumb, and what we turned into as men. And I read that book, and his mother was way worse than mine. I thought mine was
Is that generational locked?
Well, what it was, generational. He ran to find a woman he thought was not his mother. His first.
And she was his mother. She was mother times 30.
What was crazy? She was the complete opposite of his mother, and he came home. It's in the book. He came home. And he heard them cackle. He heard them going back and forth. So he's like, "Oh, great! This is good. She gonna stand to my mom. This is what's up." He's engaged to her. He going out in the kitchen, and they are talking about him and how dumb he is and how he needs to be controlled.
Nope.
Yeah, and so then he went. He went complete opposite. His mom was a college professor, and she was this accomplished person. He went to the hoodest person he could find. So then he just said, "Who am I?" That's when he came to that place. And he's been married to the same person for the last 20-some years, and have three or four children now. Jenks Morton, and his book was phenomenal, and it opened my eyes.
What's the name of the book?
He had to change the title because of black feminist. Jenks Morton is the brother that created the film series called Hoodwinked and Bamboozled.
Oh, yeah.
And What Black Men Think. And he had over 1 million followers back in the day on Black Planet. So whenever...
Do y'all remember Black Planet?
Yeah. I remember it being...
We drove, remember Palmer's? You might not be old enough for Palmer's Social Club.
No. Yeah. But think about it, I'm 30 and
you
still
remember
not...
Palmer's?
I don't remember Palmer's, but it's just like...
it's Trinity now.
It's just like Peppermint Lounge in Jersey. I heard about Palmer's.
Palmer's was the best.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It was something else. It's right across from Silk City.
From Silk City? Oh, okay. You talking about currently?
It's Trilogy.
Oh, okay. The one block up. Yeah.
You know what Silk City is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're not gonna get off track.
But
Bar and diner. Love that place.
Yeah.
Second Sunday dance-offs.
They still have that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Don't be lit. I go.
That whole thing about grace for the person who caused the most damage, like not legit caused damage. Like my little brothers are one of them. They're twins, and one of them is in therapy to this day. Second, like we both have had multiple marriages, multiple divorces, in that struggle of trying to not find a woman to be our mother, or our mother actually went and destroyed his marriage. She purposely destroyed this young man's marriage and caused his twin to talk about his wife in front of his wife. Like, it was just okay. All that happening, I don't know how to. I left that. I said, hey, Mom, hope you enjoy the rest of your life, and that was it.
Yes, and grace does it means forgiveness, but forgiveness does not mean that forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is and grace is a selfish act for you.
Yes.
It's not about them.
Right.
It's not about you hurt me. I have grace for you, so come back in and do more damage.
Right.
That's not using discernment.
Right. Yes.
But grace is about discernment. It's about
discerning when to unpack.
Yes.
Leave it there. It's unpacked.
What's yours?
Out,
What's yours? And I have a
let's
theory about what happened with Dude, and his mom's. That kind of thing, based on an experience that I had with someone.
We'll hold that there.
I'm gonna, we're holding it.
Yeah, because it's good. I'll tell you if you're right. It's
okay.
The end of the book. I'm giving away the end of the book, but it's
Don't
beautiful.
give it away now.
We're gonna read it. We're gonna read it. 215.
Don't give it away at all. Don't give it away at all.
215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. The Art of Being Grace is what we are exploring this month and this week. If you have a story about forgiveness, grace, a place where you have to show grace, or a work that you have to do in that realm, give us a call. This is the Envy McKee Show. That's DJ Frosty Phoenix. That's Martin the Man. I'm Envy McKee. We'll be right back.
Get your money straight.
Get my money right.
With Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan.
Fridays on Wake Up with Word.
7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
Tune in this and every Sunday at 1 p.m. for the Injury Justice Show with attorney Sonny Banks and Philly's own Joe Dock as they discuss cases and topics in every area of the law. And have your chance to ask the attorney and have your questions answered every Sunday at 1 p.m. on Word Radio.
Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
Envy's evolution is the Envy McKee Show.
Hey, with Philly's own Kindred, the family soul.
Hey, what's up? This is Kevin Carr.
Yo, what's up? This your boy Genuine right here on the Envy McKee Show. And I always stay tuned.
Join the Envolution exclusively on Word.
Air pollution fills my lungs. Look at who I have become. Lost my shine like the city sun. Miss the blue and miss the waves of my seaside childhood days. Since I moved away, I dreamt of my songs on the radio, but I ain't there yet, still got a way to go. And now I'm missing home. I left the right way, call it stereo, packed up my suitcase and hit the road. All alone. Ooh, Mama taught me what I know. She said life is don't always get the things you're owed. That's why I wear silver over gold. Mama taught me what I know. She said life is hard if truth be told. You don't always get the things you're owed. That's why I wear silver over gold. Ooh, ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. I swear the ocean's never cold when you're only 6 years old. My feet didn't even feel the stones. Feet know and they feel at home, yeah. Now home is just an old memory. I carry it around like jewelry. Yeah. I dream of my songs on the radio, but I ain't there yet. Still got a way to go. And now I'm missing home. I left the right way, called it stereo. Packed up my suitcase and hit the road. All alone. Mama taught me what I know. She said life is hard if truth be told. You don't always get the things you're owed. That's why I wear silver over gold. Mama taught me what I know. She said life is hard if truth be told. You don't always get the things you're owed. That's why I wear silver, silver over gold. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, silver over gold.
Y'all thought I was singing that, didn't y'all? Who was that?
I mean, it was pretty good.
Who's that? Who's that?
It was the same.
I think it's
song.
Iyama, Silver Over Gold.
Dope.
I listen to stuff before the show goes on. I have a good ear.
Yes, he does. Good ear. Oh,
Good ear.
Good ear.
Yes, yes, yes.
Eric has good ear.
So welcome back to the Envy McKee Show. Envy McKee, Frosty Phoenix,
DJ Frosty Phoenix.
Smart and the Man. The Art of Being Grace is what we're exploring this month, and I want to shout out. I want to call her Dr. Eloise Prescott, but she's not doctor, but she should be.
I wanted to just.
With my acupuncturist.
Okay.
She's been on the show before. Star Auntie's sister, Eloise. I've been, as those of you who don't remember, I'm having I'm going through this journey of getting my body back into balance and
realignment.
Realignment on a metaphysical level. And that's what we do here on this show. We explore the metaphysical, and sometimes I am the guinea pig. Yes, the woo-woo. Then woo-woo we trust. That is a thing. Jupiter Mudra's up. That is a thing. And so I have been experiencing what Freeman calls, what does he call them?
Fire spells.
Fire spells.
Freeman.
I would have preferred Fire Blast, but you know.
But it's just funny. It's cute because I'm a Sag, and so it's the thing. And
fire comes from the
overheats.
What's interesting about my particular episodes is that they began when Freeman and I started, our
just like a man,
our chemistry. We started our chemistry together, our chemistry experiment, where we started building our own ecosystem with our bodies.
Yeah.
And
wow, that was
poetic, wasn't it?
That was a little more. I don't know what to do with that information.
I'm just saying.
I know what building ecosystem means. I don't know about building ecosystem with somebody else's body.
But that's what you're doing when you start consummating your
fertilizer together.
When you start taking
on
soil. We can go deep. Start taking on their personal traits a little bit. Not like that deep. We're just talking
about. It's all body chemistry. It's all body. His bacteria started melting with mine.
Yes, bro. She's talking about that.
It's real biological.
Yeah, she's talking about that.
Okay.
That sweat. That spit.
Listen, that's still a part of it. That's still a part of it too. I'm throwing my millennial mindset here. It's still part of it too.
It's pH,
But there's another S involved.
Yes, there is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Smoothies. Yes.
That's right.
All right.
Right. Building smoothies together.
Smoothies
Oh my
together.
God, that's so beautiful.
Smoothies.
Somebody's grandma is clutching their pearls right now.
Smoothies.
I want to get back to that book.
We are going to get back to the book, but I want to shout out Eloise because the way this journey began, I've been taking copious notes about my experiences.
Copious
awesome. That's
means
awesome.
massive.
Yes,
lot.
I've been really breaking this down and following it. My initial theory was that the more green juice that I drank, it would quell it. The green juice has helped in other areas. So I've been drinking my 64 ounces and sometimes 80 ounces of green juice.
That looks
a
greener
day.
than a couple weeks ago.
Because there is some shard in here.
I was gonna say it looked a little red when she mixed it up. It was a little red.
There's some Swiss chard in there, and Swiss chard does not want to do
Become
what it's
green.
designed to do.
Right.
So anyway, Freeman and I both have been drinking it, and while that's helping in other ways, it wasn't quelling these fire sessions. What is it called?
Fires.
I don't know what he
Fire
calls
spells.
it.
Well, anyway, I've been to two acupuncture sessions so far. The first one, I'm going to say that first I want to say that acupuncture is where you take little needles and you put them in your meridians. And it's Chinese medicine, and there's a whole metaphysical science has been around for thousands and thousands of years. Google's your friend here. Eloise is going to be back on the show at some point so we can talk about it this month. It just today got really crazy. I will say from the last time, it takes a few days. So after 7 days, I will say what really happened in my body was a lot of purging. Energetic purging, emotional purging. I cried. It was very emotional. Stuff was coming out. This time I was actually agitated on the table. It was like my energy, and she feels your chi. So she has because she's been doing long enough.
She got a chi reader?
No, she got her fingers.
That's
It's
okay,
like
her
your
chi reader.
pulse. Well,
That's her chi reader.
whatever it is, and like my chi is real. She's like, it's awake now. So I was really like, I had the first time I was very energetic. I had a lot of energy, and then throughout the course of the week, it was like
afterwards you had a lot of energy.
Yeah. This time, same. I have a lot of energy, but I feel different. Like I almost feel like my battery is overcharging a little bit, and I need to bring it into it's almost overbalanced.
Well, see, you went this time with Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We sat at the same time, but we'd had two different
sessions. And then you
sessions.
had to split apart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we should check back in on Monday, see how you are, because now he's going to help realign you, tonight.
We'll see. So dumb. I cannot with you. My point being, what I want to say here is that after the second session, the fire spells seem to be subsiding.
And you were doing the green.
And I'm doing the green.
Right. So
my body. So the whole point of me trying this is to see if I can. I knew my body was out of balance.
Right.
And more than what the doctor was telling me.
Right.
So that's what's happening.
Amen.
So
shout out to Dr. Prescott.
And that is actual. This is me being a guinea pig. Now, granted, I'm not done.
No,
by
it's
no
just
stretch.
The journey.
I've only done 2 sessions.
Right.
I in my mind, I'm going to keep going every 2 weeks, just to maintain and see if we can completely reverse whatever's going on in my body.
That's what's up.
So, that being said,
consistency. That's the word I was looking for.
Consistency. Yes.
Aww.
So that being said. Before the break, we were talking about this book. We were talking about grace, the art of being grace, and we were talking about this book. We were talking about grace for our parents and our upbringing, right?
Right.
Not so much for us and our upbringing. We're not shooting ourselves.
Right.
I should have been. I could have been. If I only had. What we're doing is we're laying that gauntlet down, and we're kind of looking at where we are, because where we are is exactly where we're designed to be. And we're showing grace for those around us, for people in traffic in front of us who cannot drive because they're moms or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And what was this book you were talking about? The mom.
So the book title is actually still on Amazon now, and it's still, I guess he labeled it for the new cover and new title, but the original book is Why He Hates You, or
Why He Hates You.
You want the updated one? It's called Teach Me How to Love.
How did he get there? How did he get from why he hates
they
you?
felt like the black feminists, and it's like 2011, 2000. You know, when
But is
everybody
this book for black feminists?
No, it wasn't. It was for
Okay,
black.
so
no.
why is he changing the title
you
for
know,
people
you
that the
know,
book
I
isn't
think-
for?
I think now he's.
I don't get
It's
it.
a different generation and a different time, but I think then it was, there was a lot of. I was doing, and then he was coming to me because I love black women, and like, hey, bro, can you? I was like, I can't, it's for me and you, bro. It's not
Is
for
it book
them.
multi-generational? Would my generation of males
Teach me
benefit?
how to love. How
yes.
do you get there?
Okay.
Yes,
That's my question. And the generation after me.
And he's a writer, so he wrote the book, some of it, because it was, to me, it was a blow by blow. We'll say a situation by situation.
Yeah, nice.
And you said you had something that you saw was going on, and I can't wait to see.
Well, I was thinking that so we attract to us who we are, and we attract to us who we judge. Because the universe is not a respecter of persons. You can be all the good persons. You can do all the things. You know what I'm saying? The universe respects vibrations.
Right.
So when we put out the vibration of, oh, woe is me, my mom. Oh, well, you know what I'm saying? Also understanding that we look like we're physical, but we're all just complete energy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? From a molecular standpoint, if you go deeper down.
Right.
So any environment that you're in for any amount of time, you are going to absorb some of that energy.
Yeah.
You have to.
Right.
Every environment that you go in, you're building an ecosystem.
I was saying, but like you with Freeman, it's the people you're around. I'm saying taking on traits of situations. Just saying.
But
the energy.
it's less about traits and more about vibes.
So you were talking about why
but traits do have vibes, but it's really just, you can be in the room and not talk to anybody. You can be in a room and not interact with anybody. You can be in the just same house and never say a word.
Preach.
And you will still absorb whatever energy's in that house.
Yes.
You get what I mean?
Yes.
Which is why especially empaths have to be very careful because,
and massage people.
Yeah. Who?
Massage therapists.
Masseuses.
Massage therapists.
Monsieur.
But I was like, massage people? What does that have to do with it?
People.
But anybody who is particularly sensitive,
energy.
babies, people who don't have their, you know what I'm talking about?
Is that why babies cry when they see certain people?
Ooh, my daughter used
Start
to do that.
freaking
Oh,
out.
my daughter, she would
Absolutely.
scream. People were like, "Why is she screaming?" Because she was a quiet baby, and then she started screaming.
Depends on the
Whenever
person. You hold them
energy.
quiet, but then let me give you to aunt or uncle. Whoops, stop.
Right?
Nope.
They're not ready. They're
Nah.
not ready.
And
I don't want that. I don't want that.
It's the same reason why Palo Santo and sage works. It's clearing out.
Get it out.
All the,
Let
there's
it go.
something vibrational about it. It's when you smoke something out. You know what I'm saying?
So
Smoking out the bad energy.
I thought you were going to talk about your point was that that was what he was attracting. What was
My point is that even though he might have been going out of his way to potentially find somebody that was different than his mama, he didn't clear out his mama energy from his psyche, and so he essentially brought and he also didn't heal whatever that was going on with his mama.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Okay,
whatever was
we
going on,
gotta take a break.
We will. Whatever was going on with his mama it turned out to be in his mineral, and until he faced it and cleared out that wound, he was going to continue to experience that same wound with other women until he did.
And I got one point to add to that I thought you were going to go to, and I want to just bring that out because I think it's an important point about grace.
I'm probably going to say it when we come back.
Ooh.
Because I wasn't really done.
Yeah, we just been broken.
You right?
Huh?
I said we just been broken.
You're right.
We're going to break.
Forced break.
That's beautiful.
This was a.
We're not judging today.
It's called times.
We're not judging today. 215-634-8065-866-361-0900. This is the Envy McKee Show. We'll be right back.
Listen to Word Radio on the go with the Word Radio app. Search for WURD in your favorite app store today and take us with you wherever you go. Stay connected to Word Radio, independent Black media.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Be heard. Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black media. Word Show on the go.
Tell us where you'd like to see the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, bring the Word Show on the Go team next. Visit wordradio.com. Click the Word Show on the Go banner and let us know about your community event, big news in your community, or an issue you'd like to see addressed. You can also catch up on the latest episode of Word Show on the Go or binge watch previous episodes. It's Word Show on the Go with the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, exclusively on wordradio.com. Word Show on the Go is funded in part by the Facebook Journalism Project Community Network.
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an extreme flash flood.
Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Talk to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Envy's evolution is the Envy McKee Show.
Hey, with Philly's own Kindred, the family soul.
Hey, what's up? This is Kevin Carr.
Yo, what's up? This your boy Genuine right here on the Envy McKee Show. Now, always stay tuned.
Join the Envolution exclusively on Word.
Are you a star person suffering from where do I really fit in this world displacement disorder, or WORDERFIT for short? If you or someone you know is suffering from trying to fit into a world you were born to help evolve, but forgot, and so you did other stuff, you may be eligible to take part in a Star People Realignment Program, sponsored by the Wake Up the Star People of Earth Omniversal Alliance. For more information, read The Stellar Trilogy by Envy McKee, available at envymckee.com or wherever books are sold, like Amazon, and tune into The Envy McKee Show, Friday nights, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on wordradio.com and the Word app. Join the Envolution. Shout out to Moonchild. They need to be the official. Listen, Carvin. This is their new song. What's the song called?
What You're Doing.
What You're Doing.
What You're Doing.
Philly's own Carvin
Higgins produced this song.
Oh, nice.
So, yes.
Right to the station, yeah.
So, we need to have Carvin on and Moonchild on to talk.
Look at the 6 degrees.
You know what I'm saying? And Carvin, I know you hear me. It looked like maybe they can do like the show intro. We're still working out what the show intro is going to be. So,
but they are. I think I'm working it out that they are on the main rotation.
They're
for
the
this
main
show
rotation
until
for the
further
show
notice.
until further notice. So shout out to Moonchild. Yay! So welcome back to the Metaphysical Studio. The Woo Woo is official right here on WRD. I'm Envy McKee.
Yes.
What's your name? DJ Frosty Phoenix.
You're
Martin the Man.
She gets one of them right one time in the week.
I know, right? And I'm only here once.
Right, twice.
And Dr. Ajima's in the building.
She said hello.
Every first and third Friday.
I feel like it's been a while.
It has, because there were 5 Fridays last month.
Yeah, that's why. It was a long time.
It felt like a long time. We missed you. I miss you. I love you so much. She's my
I
sister.
look forward to this. You don't understand. This is like the highlight of my week.
I do understand. And I'm grateful that we get to to have a metaphysical studio with us.
Yeah.
I feel like we should do that at least once every 2 months or so. Just have a show with just us to unpack stuff and then bring other people in.
Are we gonna have a new title for us too? So you got the Woo Woo Crew on the 3rd Friday.
Yeah.
What about
the core?
The core group. You got your friends of the outer circle, but you got the inner circle friends.
Yeah.
Like
Got it. So with the core.
the main 5 of the 10 or something like that.
What?
This is the Woo Woo Lab.
The Woo Woo Lab.
It's in the lab.
Where
son.
the theories
son.
are tested before they're implemented.
Yo, son.
With the crew.
It's the lab,
Yes,
son.
yes, that's dope.
We need
lab
coats.
Exactly.
Yes, Woo Woo.
Come in with our lab coats.
And mine says Queen Woo Woo.
And Doctor says Dr. Woo.
DJ Mixer.
Woo Woo. DJ Woo Woo.
Yeah, DJ Woo Woo.
And what's yours?
I don't know. Woo Woo Joker.
Woo Woo the
What about this Woo Woo? Martin, put that down.
I'm gonna have Grace. I'm gonna have Grace. I'm gonna have Grace and forgive her for her bad jokes.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm gonna show her grace.
Martin be like, "What's this Woo Woo?" Be like, "Martin, put that down."
Yeah, right.
Nah, we're not with that this week.
Exactly. I'm gonna have grace.
Oh,
and
you found it.
Forgive.
Oh, Envy, you found it?
Yes, I'm gonna have grace.
Oh.
Let me have. No, she's writing it down. Really? No, you I'm gonna cross that out. When you're not looking, I'm gonna tell Freeman to cross it. Yeah, I'm gonna tell Freeman to cross that out.
This is now the time to like redeem.
Right.
But a reminder though that there's the base conversation for this month is a month of grace.
Yes.
Right.
Well, Envy's writing down everybody's titles for the Woo Woo Lab.
That was
The lab to dissect.
Yeah.
It was a play on words.
No,
you know, like Boo Boo the Fool.
no,
Yes.
no.
Yeah.
Really? You think that's funny?
Yeah.
I think that's funny.
It was just, it came out. I'm sorry.
Throwback.
For the record, I'm not laughing at you.
Right, he's laughing at this term. So she can't stop.
And he's just
She
mad
can't
because
stop.
it's gonna stick, and
She
he
can't
knows
stop.
it's gonna stick.
No, it's not.
You better come
No,
up
it's
with a
not.
name.
It's not gonna.
Or
It's
that's
not gonna stick.
Exactly.
Woo Woo the
Yeah.
Fool.
That was funny. That was good. That was good.
Oh Lord.
I think if I was a denier, if I was a woo denier, then I would accept that. But since I'm a woo embracer,
You're a
a
woo.
lover of
You're
lover of
woo.
woo.
You're a woo advocate.
Right. Yeah.
The web.
At the end of it,
Yeah. He's here. Yeah.
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 The end of the book, he talks about
Book called what?
right.
Book called what?
Oh,
For people that are just tuning in.
right.
Who are late.
Why He Hates You, Jenks Morton, on Amazon. It's only available on Kindle.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's not available in print anymore.
Anymore.
So I mean, he can read. He just has to press a button and put it back up there. But the main takeaway was that his mom wanted to marry a fellow college professor, and she didn't. So she turned him against his father, who actually is a famous boxing trainer. He trained Sugar Ray Leonard and a whole bunch of people. And she would talk about his father very negatively to him, which is something...
They were together?
Yes.
They were together?
Yes, for a long time.
Okay, whoa.
Yeah.
So
While
this
you
husband
living-
and wife team,
Yeah.
while they're living...
Not team, because it was her
this
against him.
This husband and wife unit,
Yeah, I guess.
they were married,
Yeah,
and they lived under
and
the same
the
roof.
husband loved the wife.
Right.
His
and
father
she
loved
talked
Mom.
badly about her.
To her son.
But I bet you that has something to do with her parents thinking that he was beneath her.
And other right, and something else. And so, but this the flip, which my mother did something similar to me. She took him when the person she wanted to be with was dying from cancer or whatever. She presented Jenks at a very young age, 10 or 11, to him like, this is what we created, because she wanted Jenks to be everything his father wasn't. Be book smart, not physical.
So why did she marry a man that she?
And that's where I got from Jenks' book, because I realized the grace that I could give my mother was because you were in a relationship you didn't want to, for whatever reason.
So why did she? I mean, I
Because my
understand that
father
people
didn't approach my mother. That's the thing. Is like, why did you pick this guy you didn't want to be with, and then
because
make me his
get
son,
married for
and,
people
but
get
then turn
married
me against him? Where I hated my father for years because thinking that he was the nothing, and then realized that my mom was the person that made me. After reading that book, I was like, you know what? Yeah,
the word convenience
and
comes to mind.
Yeah, but it's more than convenience. People have agendas.
Yes, exactly.
They have agendas.
And it's deep.
And it's not even about convenience. It's about pushing your agenda forward.
Right.
So you get, like, think about how men do not get, see, this is, the patriarchy makes really bad people. You know what I'm saying? The patriarchy make really bad people. So when you think about it, the way
and this American experience, add that on top of that.
So the way that this whole conversation is set up is that women can't even, back in the day especially, couldn't even get a house.
Right,
they could they could barely be employed.
Yeah.
They basically, in order for them to be able to have any kind of agency, they had to have a man.
Yeah.
And so you find the best man that you have near you. You jump on the best train that's moving forward somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And
whoever shows up.
And the thing about that is, it comes with resentment.
Big reason.
You know what I'm saying? And not to say that you can't do it without a male person, just like it's just harder. And it's easier when you have two incomes. It's easier, not that there were, but it's easier when you just have somebody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of what's going on today is a lot of the remnants of that.
Being broken down,
right?
And it's
yes,
smashed.
It's being broken down.
That's why we don't see people married, because it's like, whoa, I'm not going to just get involved to anybody just for the sake of. Correct. I'm not going to be my mom.
Exactly. So you're talking about a lot of resentment. I needed you to be able to do the things that I wanted to do,
to get voting,
and I don't really need you anymore. And I'm mad that I needed you, and it's not your fault, but ew. You know, and.
But his father, check this out. He found out his father's father chose a woman he didn't want to be with, like he shouldn't have been with. So he was trying. He's also realized that he needed to break the cycle of picking women that his father's mother was the same way.
You also have to remember that marriage was not always about love.
Yeah,
marriage was a business proposition, and so that resentment comes from. And then also there's all this puritanical bulljank. So you weren't even picking somebody that at least came with some goods that you were into. You know what I'm saying? Well,
no, this is religion.
You get what I mean?
You know, he's the closest, nicest.
You as a woman
family tradition.
Right.
You as a woman are a prop. You as a woman are not viable or valuable unless you can produce children. You as a woman are not. Do you get what I mean? You see it? Mm-hmm. Listening.
Was it fire? Was it
no,
fire?
This is not a fire one. This is not a fire one. This is just a. This is just I'm hyped.
She got a tracksuit on, son.
That's
sweatsuit.
True.
She got
it's cold outside.
Sweatsuit.
Right.
So,
it is cold outside.
So saying all of that to say, it's like when you look at
outside.
Yeah, it's totally cold outside.
When you look at the dynamic of how relationships were set up back in the day. It was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
They were business propositions, and everybody that's in business together don't get along.
Right, like bad business scenarios.
So, and we're looking at it romantically as kids, like, oh, my parents made me, and they're supposed to, love each other and all that other stuff, and it just didn't work out that way. Yeah. Get what I mean? Yeah. That's why there was a lot of alcoholism in the baby boomers.
Well.
So. Listen.
Yeah. So there's that.
So I feel like that's where grace comes in, where we begin to unpack these things that we saw as children and look at them as adults and look at them pragmatically and look at them and say, not to say, I don't like it when people say look at things logically, because our emotions are not logical.
That's played.
I feel like we can look at things pragmatically, though. We can look at them, we can unpack them and look at, okay, what is the dynamic that these things exist in?
Right.
And that way we can kind of see the decisions that people make based on the choices they were given, and take some of the sting off of it.
Right.
It's not personal, it was business, and it probably wasn't good business, but you know, they did the best that they could with what they have.
And would you have made different decisions?
And
if you
would
lived in that
you
time?
have made different
and after you
decisions?
do all that and you realize this person was just a beep, beep, beep.
Who got the keys to my Jeep?
That wasn't even.
But nice tie-in.
Right.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good reach.
I respect.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I respect the ability to pull it out.
Improv.
2 seconds. Yeah.
You're welcome.
But,
You're welcome. I've been doing this a long time.
Excellent skills. Yeah. But when you realize that person just after being pragmatic and you break all that down and you realize the person is just an
idiot. Just say idiot.
I'm not taking that away. I'm not saying that people aren't just
AHs. Yeah.
ISIS.
Yes. Okay.
Move on from the conference.
We're trying to get around the SEC laws.
Or the different the metaphors.
Right.
People where sun don't shine, all that stuff.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Anyway.
Yes, I got you.
So
got you.
We're talking about the art of being grace this whole month.
With
this
a-holes. With grace to a-holes.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, whatever. And grace for ourselves, grace for our family, grace for people that have wronged us, grace for the system. You know, just grace. What is the art of being grace? The system. Right. Yeah. Understanding how the system was built and what it was built for and why it was built.
The experiment, yes.
Right. And understand that the system is working as it's designed, but we have a whole different dynamic of people that live within the system that don't like it. And so the trick is figuring out what does it look like. What does a world that works for everyone look like?
Or what does the world look like for you?
For you.
Because I think that's the other thing too. Like, you know,
we're
giving
going
you
back
the license
to Dr. Ajima.
and agency to
create it.
Right. Your world.
We're trying to get beyond our having a lack of imagination.
I was getting ready to say imagination.
I know you were, because that was we will always.
I just knew it. I could just
and so this is the metaphysical lab.
Yes.
Right.
On the MV McKee Show.
Queen
where
Woo
pigeons get mad.
Listen.
That's DJ Woo Woo. I'm Queen Woo Woo. That's Dr. Woo Woo, and that's Woo Woo the Fool.
Yeah. Again, where pigeons get mad.
215.
Who that?
Woo that. Woo that. I like it. 215.
I like that.
I like
Kid
Woo that.
Kid Woo that. Kid Woo that.
That's
Kid
Woo
Woo
that.
that.
And then we also have Woo Woo Ma.
Yes, yeah.
Who's Woo Ma?
I don't know.
No, I said it was you.
I'm Woo Woo Ma?
Yeah. Remember I said like yeah.
Woo that, Woo Woo Ma.
I'm
down.
Break.
Woo break.
Now.
215-634-8663-661-099.
Oh, no.
This is the MV McKee Show. We'll be right back.
Reality Check. Reality Check. Hosted by Charles Ellison. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com.
Walter E. Sabbath Jr. Funeral Service is introducing Cremations Are Us by Sabbath. That's SABBATH. Cremations Are Us by Sabbath is the result of their 26 years of experience with individuals and families who choose cremation. Sabbath knows that families who choose cremation have the same needs as those who choose burial. Sabbath's new component, Cremations Are Us by Sabbath, emphasizes the wide selection of services they've always offered. Visit their website, sabbathcare.com, for details, or call 215-924-4101.
It's September, and once again, it's time for the 13th Annual Strawberry Mansion North Philly Fest, September 7th, 2019. The event is located at the Manda Recreation Center, 33rd and Diamond Street, from 12 noon to 6 p.m. The Strawberry Mansion Neighborhood Action Center, Strawberry Mansion Community Development Corporation, and Council President Darrell L. Clark welcomes you for free food, resources and information, talent show, children's carnival rides, and live music from Philly's own Down to Earth, Breakwater. Coast to Coast, a special appearance by Kwame, and DJ Gary O. Main entertainment begins at 2 p.m. Join us this Saturday at the Strawberry Mansion North Philly Fest at Manda Recreation Center. We hope to see you there.
Now, with more clarity, this is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at WordRadio.com.
Have you always wanted to learn an interdimensional language but not sure where to begin? Those basic language apps not offering the languages you really want to learn? Good news! Now there's Staretta Stone, offering languages like Tuastai and the Elders language taught by native speakers so you and your friends can blurt out and up-level your vibrational frequency at the same time. For more information, read The Stellar Trilogy by Envy McKee, available at envymckee.com and wherever books are sold like Amazon. And tune into The Envy McKee Show, Friday nights 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 900 AM 96.1 FM WURD and worldwide on WURDradio.com and the Word app. Join the involution.
I heard a whisper in the breeze long before I took the time to stop and listen. Oh, the feeling that came over me slowly, sugar sweet, never leave me. And I thought it was too soon. I had fallen apart right in front of you. Just in time, I can tell the day you came to me, carried softly by a breath of spring. As we time enough to see it through, all the joys of love I'll give to you. I'd grown accustomed to the way time replaced the love I worked to save with distance. Oh, to know that you were mine to love sometime. I feel free, never leave me. And I thought it was too soon. I'd fallen apart right in front of you.
This girl's voice is woo. Welcome back to the Woo Woo Lab on the Envy McKee Show. First Fridays. Oh, why did I say first Monday?
Sure.
Was that Freudian?
It's metaphysical. Can be Monday if you want
It can't be. Right. It's actually Friday. It was a gloomy,
dreary.
Yeah, it was. The weather was really.
Though the weather outside is not quite frightful yet.
Ooh, Christmas is coming.
It is. I was thinking about that. We are right there. We're right on the cusp.
Is your energy well enough to start purchasing the right gifts for your family member or loved one?
Consider the Stellar Trilogy by Envy McKee. In Woo Woo we trust.
Woo Woo Christmas.
Yes. Well, Woo Woo Christmas. Oh, it's on pop. We're gonna have merch.
Brought to you by Woo Woo Lab.
That's right. We are going to have merch.
Have a beaker with Woo Woo across it or something like
that?
Yes. We need to have Woo Woo. what's the stuff? Not mistletoe. What's the other thing that smells?
Eucalyptus?
Fragrance?
Yeah, the mint, the thing that people put on the house and smells.
That's the reef or whatever.
Yeah, but it smells like evergreen.
Peppermint?
Evergreen. Yeah, I guess.
Eucalyptus? What are you talking about?
Now you're stepping off
Christmas
tea tree?
Well, it's only the reef.
Chamomile?
The reef, or is it reef or is it wreath? Wreath and the Christmas tree.
Oh,
so
what you mean,
about?
sage? You mean Palo Santo? Because that's what we gonna be hanging. Here, kiss under this.
You gonna make a heart? Smudge this.
Yes, we'll burn it.
Right.
Here, this our woo woo mistletoe.
Right. Exactly. You want this woo woo?
So welcome back. We are unpacking the art of being grace this whole month, and today we are kind of having a.
Not kind of. We haven't.
We are. We're having.
It's there.
We're unpacking.
Yes.
We're unpacking. But I mean, throughout the course of the month, we're going to find some different angles to venture forth. But we're so happy that Dr. Ajima is here, and we kind of want to. We want to talk a little bit about you.
No, why?
Yes, we do. Yes.
School started, right?
Never like that.
Yes, it did start.
Yeah, you had that whole energy. It's like, how was school? And then one of the things that I set this whole conversation up with was the school is starting, and so there's a lot of changes.
Yes.
And here you are, and I said, how is school? And she's like,
Exactly. There's no food left in the supermarket.
I do gotta grade somebody's test, don't I?
But I said the kiddos make it worthwhile.
Do they?
They do.
That sounds kind of forced, Doc.
I shouldn't say kiddos. They are young adult, mostly mature college.
Mostly mature.
Yes, you got to account for variation in there.
Let me tell you something.
On their way to becoming mature.
Let's keep it real on the woo.
Let me tell
I'm
you
going to
something.
have to bring in a really big bottle of spray for all the mics.
Yes, you will. Because that was,
that was
a whole.
I'm sorry, that was a whole reaction. I apologize.
I live in the middle of them, so.
I used to be one of them
side by side. University of Science, Drexel, freaking Penn. It's just
12 years back.
And you're right, because you live in University City, so you're like,
I was there.
His life is the cusp of the university.
And I didn't realize how I wasn't we weren't around University City in September last year, so we didn't get this.
You didn't know.
Yes.
Now you know.
Yes. And it's
University City, and now they call it. Is it Chestnut Hill?
Yeah, they call
not Chestnut. No. It's Walnut Hill. They call it Walnut Hill.
Who calls it that?
It's right there. It's right on Walnut Street. Right on Walnut.
Whoever is doing the gentrifying,
there you
go. That's who's calling it that. And they don't want to call it Southwest. They want to call it whatever.
University City sounds dope.
It's that thing of them not like wanting to help, but not knowing how to ask for help.
Right.
So they just like, here. And you're like, what are we going to do with it?
What are you talking about?
Girl came off the plane. Not giving me. I'm just saying in the area. I just see them interacting with different services and different things. Not college stuff. I'm talking about just regular store.
Just
like
life.
Bank America. Girl comes off the plane. I guess a mom gave the plane they hold money for the kids when they fly from across the world.
Really?
So she came in with a pouch. $15,000, and she was standing in front of the ATM trying to deposit $15,000.
How'd you know how much it was?
Because she kept saying, "I'm trying to deposit. Excuse me, I'm trying to deposit $15,000. Excuse me."
Let her say that in North.
I feel like she needs to shut up.
And so I'm standing with her, like, what's was behind her, like, just go inside the. Like, you literally are 2 feet from the door to walk inside. She's turning around. Can you help me to deposit $15,000?
Is this a part of your conversation we had earlier about the generation?
No, dude, this was like I totally forget.
But they're not millennials. This
generation.
There's something else.
Well, this one she might not have been. She's like 19 probably.
She's not.
Yeah,
Millennials.
She's not millennials. Right, it's later. But still, some of the generational differences.
It's a classism thing that they're sitting coming to school with this amount of money to be able to deal with it.
Okay.
And that's that.
But it's also foreign kind of. You're not used to American, grit. I listen. I read this meme that said aliens be driving by Earth and locking their doors.
True that. And
But I met this guy, and this was a couple of years ago. He worked at Whole Foods, and for those of you who don't know, Whole Foods is not a game like Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's. That's like a whole.
Fun. Yeah, it's
Amazon.
fun.
That's a whole career. Like,
before Amazon, Whole Foods before Amazon was worse than it is now. I feel.
What do you mean?
Amazon.
What I'm talking about is he worked at Whole Foods, so don't be putting your nose up because they make bank in Whole Foods. They make a living wage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, folks, managers at Whole Foods,
right? Managers, but not the.
I mean, I would hope so. As much as expensive it is to shop there.
Listen. So this dude worked.
I did save $6 this week. They had a lot of stuff on sale. Yeah, I saved $6 this week.
You Amazon Prime?
Yeah. I got.
We should. I feel like we shouldn't be saying any of those things.
No, we shouldn't.
So
without sponsorship.
So this guy that worked, I want to say he was Egyptian or something like that, and he was. I knew that he was Muslim, and he was very green. I don't know how long he was working there, but he was very green, and he liked me. So he was. I came in. I was living in Jersey. I came in like literally one time, and he was like, "Can I talk to you? You are very beautiful."
Let me speak to you.
Yes, you are very beautiful.
Tasty.
I need. And I want to say he went so far as like, I need a wife. Allah will provide. It was like one of those things.
Jeez.
And I'm not, and I'm kind of exaggerating, but I'm really not.
No,
it was really there. And he's like, no, all will be well.
Yes.
I have $100,000 in the bank
right now.
And
intentional.
Right.
Just get this done.
And I was like, I feel like you shouldn't tell people that you don't know that. And I said that to him. I was like, I know you all were wondering where this is going. It was going there.
I know.
I'm following you.
I know.
Huh?
I was following you.
I know.
And I was like, listen. I was like, listen.
Don't tell people that.
Don't tell people that.
You will get what you are asking for.
And he said something about Allah, and I was like, listen. I believe that you believe that, but if you continue to tell people that you don't know that, like you don't know me, and I could have been some John that just egged you all the way on. Don't do that.
So you were practicing grace.
Practicing grace, but
It
wasn't
practice. Implementation.
Yeah, I'm not that person. I feel I'm not that person. Like if I were that person, I would be living a totally different life.
But yeah, isn't that the point though?
Yeah.
Right. Like grace shouldn't just be a practice, right?
It should be something that you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Being grace.
Being.
We treat people the way you want to experience
honestly,
them.
That is,
and it goes back to even what we were
irritating.
talking about.
That people
you just jump on the train
stuff at you, and then you're like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna snatch that from you. You were stupid enough to throw it at me. I'm just gonna snatch.
Did you help the girl?
So
or did she get helped?
No, Negro, I did not help that child. I said, concierge. And the guy, there's a concierge at this branch I go to, and he's staying there on the other side of the
somebody's job.
Listening to her having a problem.
Right. Like, bro, you see these people standing outside at the ATM. You're not just curious. You're not just your Bank of America. You're not that secure that you just. So he came out and said, and he called the branch manager because it was like she's standing with an armful of cash, like a handful of cash.
And she's literally trying to deposit it in the ATM outside.
like $1,000 at a time. You can only stack, I think, 40 bills at a time. So she's trying to count out 40 bills because right, exactly.
My face.
Exactly.
Everybody here is like, I cannot.
Exactly, and so and then her stupid friend is standing there like, okay, like are we gonna go to Sweet Greens or are we gonna it's
because the process was taking too long,
right? Like just throw the money at the machine and let's go.
The Gen Z attention span.
It was like Prince Hakeem, Coming to America,
right. That's what it was. That's what it. And that practicing grace with people not born in the United States is very difficult.
It is.
I'll just say that.
That's crazy. But
she was literally Princess Hakeem. Coming to America 13, talking about some. Because you remember, he
on the other side of the table, though, there you have these schools like I'm not gonna name it. that has an Amazon store in it. And what they did inside the Amazon store? I went to pick up something from Amazon. They made the Amazon store into a dorm room.
Huh?
What?
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Pardon?
Break that down. How does that work?
Thank you.
What the John?
So, that's when I walked in. I was like, there's a bed here. There's Alexa here. There's this here. They had all their products.
A person had all the Amazon products.
No. The Amazon store turned the store into a dorm room so these kids could understand how to unpack a package and dispose of it so it wasn't too much work for the school and for Amazon.
How big was the space that
it's
the
huge.
store was?
It's a huge space. It's a huge drop-off space. And so I was like, and they're sitting there, you know, they're getting their packages, and they're like, okay, I gotta follow direction. I do this. I'm like,
that's kind of dope,
it was like, no, see, that's that experience stuff. That's that generational experience.
No, that's
stuff.
dope. That's dope in concept though,
right?
And direction-wise, because I'm an organized type
guess
person.
What? Guess what? Every idiot walked in here and said, "Hey Alexa," and just hello. Hey Alexa, you know, because
everybody's trying to talk to her at the same time,
right? And also, so I also blame the schools for what do you call it? You know, enabling this concept.
You're not practicing grace, Martin.
Well,
there's got to be one.
Institutional grace is not something I do.
And you have to keep in mind, schools are a business.
Yeah, true.
I work for a business.
Right. Yeah. I don't even know what's going on
Education
up there.
Is business.
That's a whole other.
Like.
Elaborate.
I mean, let's talk about the fact that we're having a really hard time coming up with enough gumption to forgive all the student loan debt. You know what I'm saying?
Where's the grace there?
Let's talk about it. Let's take a moment. Our country was literally about to fall out from the bottom, and we found the gumption to save Wall Street. We saved these banks.
Save banks.
We saved
even
the banks.
concept of Wall Street.
But
it wasn't trading houses that people love to say Wall Street, but it was banks.
We saved
Wall
these big
Street
banks that
fault.
were. If you ever seen the documentary Too Big to Fail,
yes.
We saved these banks, but we were not showing that same amount of gumption for people.
Humanity.
For people that live here, that we showed. If
Who
we showed
deposit
grace,
stuff in banks.
The fact that people owed $40,000 on their loans and they still 20 years later owe $37,000 on their loan after having paid $20,000 on their loan, that's crazy. That's not even interest. That's something else entirely. That is predatory lending.
Interest. Yeah, there's a bigger word.
And predatory. And if you remember, predatory lending is the reason why we had to save the banks to begin with.
Fixed rate versus variable.
So we really need to, just like we're having this conversation of reparations, we have to have this conversation of how we treat our citizens in this country.
And that's
no other country has this problem.
And that's the thing. I don't know if you heard about this case. It was a few years ago when you said that. Made me think about Occupy, how Occupy tried to do something and tried to set a tone for being willing as a cooperative, collectively. Let's pay off people's debt. Let's collectively let's just do a huge GoFundMe and pay off people's debt. And not build a $40 million, the $40 million wall fund that people paid to, but they couldn't pay to each other's debt. A man was arrested by the U.S. Marshals in Texas in 2016 for not paying his $1,500 federal student loan. Yeah, we'll post it on our page. He was arrested because he had an unpaid student loan. A marshal service went to his house. We didn't arrest a whole bunch of criminals.
Prison.
But yes,
it was a debtor's prison.
Right. And that's Texas. Texas will definitely throw you in jail
for anything.
For debt.
For defaulting on a federal student
And he wasn't aware that he had to pay this. He didn't know.
Well, that part, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mess. But
so
my point
you're not even talking about
grace.
Taxes,
right?
You're talking about a student loan.
That was $1,500. It wasn't even like he had.
And how long was the sentence?
Let me see. I think it was 29. Some crazy now. Originally
30 days.
Yeah.
But here's my question. So he gets arrested. He goes to jail for 30 days. That's 30 days that he's not working. And if he had a job, that's 30 days that his employer can fire him. So now he doesn't have a job, right?
Right.
And he has a record.
Right.
In debtor's prison.
And he has to he owes $5,700 because of interest and everything.
Interest and all that other stuff.
Support fees and any restitution that might have been ordered.
Right. Exactly.
For $1,500.
And in 2014, it was 43.3 million Americans who owed student loan. That was in 2014.
How many Americans are there in this country?
That's a good question. Is it 300
300
million?
Now.
300 million?
Or millions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Single digit million, single digit billion, one of the two. Or three.
Let's talk to you, Dr. Jima, because this is, criminal justice is a part of your wheelhouse.
Let's unpack. Who is Dr. Jima?
Don't do that to her.
I was gonna. I got your permission.
Yeah, but you also have to practice discernment. If you're looking at her and she's looking at you like.
What? Current population is 329 million.
329 million.
329, 408, 984 million people.
So 25 less than
$1 trillion debt economy. Student loan economy.
And you also have to understand that this country is basically built on debt.
Yes.
Right.
First, it was built on
people
slaves.
making some real yield from that debt. So
yes.
The student loan that I have and that I've paid on time, that's AAA graded, that's sold to someone on Wall Street that can trade on that and make a lot of yield, right? So it's part of not even really a complex system, but yes, this country's built on debt, which means that the more debt you accrue, the better. In some sense, to borrow from my brother's philosophy, right? Like you can play the game of not paying things because you know that at the end of the day, that's how wealth is generated for other people. And so if you're going to generate wealth for other people, why, do it in a manner that works for you in some way. But at the same time, the detriment to that is you can't build the wealth that works for you because of the debt.
Right.
In terms of practicing grace, I think I go back to DJ Frosty Phoenix point, get rid of the interest. I should be able to pay back what I borrowed, right? I'm not saying eliminate interest, period, across the different financial vehicles we have in a capitalistic society. But if I take out X amount of dollars to pursue a higher education, to pursue the quote-unquote American dream in this country,
I should be able to pay that back and just pay that back, and then that's it.
Yeah, and the interest you'll see is my productivity and the money that I generate for the economy in this country, as opposed to being held back because I can't buy a house, because I can't get a job that can give me the competitive salary to pay off this debt. I can't get a car to transport myself, to do entrepreneurial things. And we're beginning to see the effect of it, at least in higher education, where we have to streamline the costs, which we need to do, right? We also have to then sort of what Temple has done, a tuition freeze, because we have to make sure we still stay competitive at a time in which higher education is contracting, because it is expensive, because students are wondering, I have all this debt, but my degree is not necessarily yielding those jobs that I want. And that's a whole other separate argument about why the market isn't yielding the jobs that people need. So in terms of practicing grace, it's, for me and the students, when I said the students, the kiddos, as I said, but they're really mature young people, make the difference for me, because I realize that this is a very serious enterprise that they're embarking on.
Yeah.
That, it's not only me delivering a service or being practicing a vocation, it's that this is something that's going to take them to the next level, and it's very serious for me. And so I think what I try to do with them is to level set and to say, yes, we're going to have an academic experience for 15 weeks. We're going to talk about theoretical concepts. We're going to try to make it as real as possible. But at the same time, you are the customer here. And that's what goes back to my point about, I work for a business. You're paying real money, or someone is paying money. Someone's going to debt unless someone has the cash flow to pay for this outright. But you're paying real money for something tangible that's supposed to promise you something very specific. And so for me, grace is meeting that with intention and making sure I do my job very well, despite the intensity that surrounds it. Because those 50 minutes in the classroom or that hour and 20 minutes in the classroom makes a difference. It's that moment where all of those things that we're talking about that can set someone up either for struggling to pay off debt or not, all of that, takes place in, just the 50 to 120 minutes or however long you teach on a day-to-day basis, whether you're in K through 12, whether you're in a private school, whether you're in higher ed.
Yeah, and part of that that knowledge to me is that we're not really prepping the college student for the workforce that, especially in Philadelphia, we're not prepping them for. But this is a problem in the United States cities all around the country. The intermediate wage jobs, so that's jobs between $55,000 and $80,000.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is actually underwater in those jobs. There was a report put out by Pew, and so my thing is also when they graduate, They think they're going to get this job in education, financial insurance, public administration, utilities, and there are none in Philadelphia. Now, in the suburban areas around Philadelphia and Delaware, there are. But in Philadelphia, if you think you're going to, I love Philly. Like, I went to school here. I'm going to go ahead and start a family here. Or I'm going to go ahead and I fell in love, married my college, sweetheart, and we're going to get an apartment. We're going to find work. Good luck. Right. Exactly. So the grace you're talking about, also is that like, this is a choice. You did come to the school. You are going to get a degree and you leave. Hopefully, you'll find a job. But you may not.
But we have to go back. But we have to go back. And I might as well just say this. I really am enjoying how Marianne Williamson is shifting. She's disrupting the conversations. I love
every
it.
time I read
I bet
something
you
about
do.
her.
Yes.
I do.
Think of me when you think of Marianne. I just love how she is shifting the conversation. And it goes back to one of the first conversations we had on the air where we talk about vocations. Like when we're still talking about jobs and at a time where jobs are, everybody wants a job, everyone needs a job, and everybody's not going to have a job. What are you here to do?
Right, and you may not get the job that's going to pay what you want compared to your parents or the prior generations, right? So the Fed put out this interesting report about millennials have the same desires and ambitions as prior generations, but there's less money, right? And so
but that's the thing. It's not less money. It's just more hoarding.
Yes.
There's not less money.
We're breaking.
Yes.
It's just more hoarding. 215-634-8065. 866-361-0900. This is the Woo Woo Lab. First Friday on the Envy McKee Show.
We're mixing it up in the lab.
We're mixing it up in the lab. Frosty Phoenix. Dr. Ojima. What just happened?
Nothing. Hold it.
Martin the Man. I'm Envy McKee. We'll be right back.
Listen to Word Radio on the go with the Word Radio app. Search for WURD in your favorite app store today and take us with you wherever you go. Stay connected to Word Radio, independent Black media.
Creator Roofing. That's the company my dad runs. He's a great roofer and a father too. I've watched my dad over the years. He really cares about his customers like he cares about our family. My dad has been a licensed bonded roofer for over 20 years. He runs Creator Roofing, he's a block captain, and he started Streets of Hope, a ministry to feed, clothe, and shelter the homeless. Call my dad because he cares about people at 267-333-1778.
Hi, this is Brandon Wallace, the owner of Creator Roofing. Please give us a call at 267-333-1778.
Listen live at wordradio.com.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent black media, for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM, independent black media.
Don't miss the Electric Magazine Show.
Hosted by Cody Anderson and Vicky Leach. Saturday mornings from 7 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Exclusively on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
I ain't no better than you. And you ain't no better than me. But we all have something in common. We all are species, seeds of God's creation.
Tune in to Messages in the Music every Friday night with Joey T, midnight to 6 a.m. right here on WURD.
You just can't miss the Envy McKee Show.
I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad in your box, the bullet in the gun, the inner glow that let you know to call your brother son. The story that just begun, the promise of what's to come. And I'ma remain a soldier till the war is won. Chop, chop, chop.
The Envy McKee Show, exclusively on Word.
Searching for the answer. Tie myself down with all I find. Silver bit circles like a dancer. But in my mind, my spirit is with the breeze. Far from the things I used to know. Wild and free. Using that truth to let go. Serenity rests in me. Far from the things I used to know. I found the strength to let it show.
Welcome back to the MV McKee Show. MV McKee, Frosty Phoenix, Martin the Man, Dr. Ojima. This is the Woo Woo Lab. We in the lab.
Frosty,
You have to see me on the thing. We in the lab. That's what the lab looks like. So before the break, we started to have this really. We're talking about education and student loans and
having grace.
And, the grace. How do we have grace? As a community, as a people, as a country, as a culture. And one of the things we were talking about behind the scenes. That's why I love the lab. We were talking about this concept of the reason why we have to get a college education is because our primary education is not robust. A lot of the things that we're learning in college right now, it is stuff that you really could learn K through 12. You know what I'm saying? So that everybody has a basic foundation of robustness that they go out into the world with. If you want to pursue a higher degree, it's more focused.
Yes,
you don't have English 101 because you don't need it. You got that in your primary grades. You get what I mean? Or you're supposed to. The fact that your freshman year in college is pretty much grade 13.
Yeah.
Is
it's like how far have you gotten from grade 12? Oh, you're here. All right, you keep going. Oh, you here? Oh, nah, you need to.
Yeah, but lots of people need that. They need the remedials. And not to say that that's not good because it's a different environment, whatever. I'm not here to squabble over that. I'm just saying if our primary school education was more robust, I feel like college would be it would be really a choice and not a necessity. And I feel like
but remember, this country is a business. So,
I know exactly what we're dealing with.
So the education system was watered down specifically in 99. And in 2000,
he looked like he really reading that.
Yeah, because I want to get this right because
I had to look up real quick.
It's going to trigger some people, but it is what it is. In 2002, a company called Ignite Learning, which was founded by Neil Bush, the brother of George Bush, the son.
I wish you could see the level of eye roll that just happened. Like my whole top of my head rolled.
Right. He received the first payout of federal funds that were made available through No Child Left Behind Act to create these portable learning centers at $3,800 a piece, which was close to like 10 or 15 million.
And we all know that No Child Left Behind was like the biggest farce.
Scam. Right. And so we took out gym, we took out civic classes, home economics, and and we were left with.
She said civics.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What,
Yes.
what did you learn in civics?
Oh,
Civilization, I think.
Oh, right. They got
Well,
the
no,
Greek.
we learned
Society.
also how to be citizens. How we
Oh.
learned
Civics.
how to
Learn
take
how to be-
Foundational to
Right.
living in a democracy.
Right, yeah, we did it.
Right.
Right, but
That's
that's
right.
the
No,
whole.
that's right.
But that's the
That's right.
whole
That's right. I
reason we
forgot all
have
about
people
that.
that
Yep.
don't know how to vote today.
Right.
We see this was
You don't
was
learn
a
that in social
systematic. Right.
Lauryn Hill,
Right.
the systematic miseducation of the public.
Right, exactly, and Dr. Naeem Akbar, the miseducation of a Negro, miseducation of black boys. So this was a business decision done to make, and to your point about millennials was sold this bill of goods that you could go to college.
Right.
I think we, especially in the black community, we push school.
Yep.
But we didn't push what's next.
Yeah, vocation.
After school. Well, I'm saying college is only one step in your adulthood.
So here's the deal with that, right? What was pushed after college was after you go to college, then you get this high job. Like, say, for instance, you want to go to school, be a journalist, and then you go to school, you get that degree, and they say then you can be like Rick Williams
Tamron
or your idol. But they don't tell you your idol probably like shadowed 15 people, worked as in small town here, small town there,
making $11
built up,
an hour.
built up a reel, and then worked their way up until they interacted with the right person at the right place. Say, I like you, and put you in the right place. They don't tell you about that. They just tell you to go and figure it out until you get there.
Well, in 2012, I went to 8 colleges in North Carolina, 8 colleges in Florida, and every college we went to, even Duke, the kids that were part of this program that we were speaking to, after we went through our lecture, the first thing they asked the question, one of the first questions was, what do we do now?
Right.
I'm like, you're in school. The kids brought us to all these student bodies paid for our speaking tour. So in Florida, the student government is a line item on the state budget. They have $1 million. These kids have $1 million. They get paid.
What school is this?
All the schools in Florida and all the schools in California, the student government system is a line item on the state
if
budget.
I had known.
And so,
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yes.
I'm running for student
one is
body
underwater and one is
president.
on fire.
Right. And so, but their question was,
Do they have lobbyists too?
no, they didn't have.
Do
any
they have the
lobbyists.
whole?
But they had people like us who would say, you should be learning this in school. Like, you should bring us in so we can speak to you about this issue, which our issue at the time was Obama and Mitt Romney. But the point I'm making was their question to us wasn't about politics. The question was, what are your suggestions that we do? We have this student loan debt, and we're trying to figure out what's next. How do we transition from juniors to seniors, and how do we get internships? There was nobody, and to that point,
talking about.
There was a black kid that was arrested for going to his counselor's office too much in Georgia. She called the cops. That whole call. This was in 2015, 16. She called the university police on him, saying he was harassing her. Well, we found out that he was asking, not harassing. He was asking, I don't know what's next. I need
her to
help.
do her job.
Correct, exactly. And she didn't want to do her job. So it's not just that you weren't given what's next, but they literally didn't say anything at all.
Right, but no, but that's the thing.
Because no one knows, and that's what this metaphysical.
Well, we do know, but we that's where we're going to get into our mentorship. Because I think we have
and there's
agency.
points to that to break down mentorship.
So
too.
what my thought process is, and I have been kind of quasi researching this because from a metaphysical standpoint, we understand that there's something else, swirling around. There is a purpose that each of us come here with. And, when we talk about the tangibles, we often talk about the tangibles detached from the innate spiritual that is in all of these conversations. When you have the conversation about what are you here to do, what is your vocation, what is your primary function, what is in your DNA, we're all here like the oak tree. We all have, right there in our DNA, what our infinite potential. All right. What am I here to do? What did I incarnate on this planet to do? And then the other thing is when we're talking about our student loans, when we're talking about this debt that we all have, one of the things that folks are now starting to say in the metaphysical, in the woo-woo space, is that build wealth. and then the debt will be paid off as a part of it. So the primary goal is to build wealth, whatever wealth means for you. That's why that our last month's conversation, that's what it was about. Build wealth. That means build a community of like-minded people that you can work with. Build that community. Make sure that your relationships are sound. Make sure that all of your life structures are in order. Build wealth. And then your blueprint will begin to unfold, right? And not just for you, for your community. And you will be able to pay off your student debt. Edwin Gaines was saying that that loans of any sort is a form of unforgiveness. Not loans, debt of any sort is a form of unforgiveness.
That trails you.
Right? That trails you.
Yeah.
And the way that we talk about this money, that when we really understand that money isn't real, that, you know what I'm saying, that this country is built on debt, but the people who have the most, physical currency, they take this unreal money and buy very real things with it.
That reinforces
you know what
the
I'm saying?
psychological.
Right. Take that for a moment and just let that marinate your mid-neck region.
That's a really unhealthy relationship.
It's a really unhealthy relationship. So the money, what was it, like 4%? Was it 4 or 40? I can't remember. But the money is, the number is really low of how much physical paper it actually has something tangible backing it.
The cotton blend.
So it's like
cotton, the fabric.
Listen.
Literally.
So
Let's
it's
talk
like
about that.
so there's so much. There's all the money that is in existence is digital for the most part. The majority of the money is digital for the most part. The economy is built on debt. So the more debt people have, that's what we decided we were going to do. We were going to do an economy built on debt.
Or the good faith and credit
of
Americans.
You know what I'm saying?
Paying their bills,
And then on top of that, so we built a whole system that's based on unforgiveness, if we're going to woo-woo this. And then on top of it, the people that have the most, the ones that are hoarding it, are taking this very not real money and buying very real things with it. And are informing the rest of the economy, the rest of the world, the rest of the conversations around that. Now, take a moment. And if you look at it on face value, it feels very hopeless. But if you start to take a few steps back, and you go, okay, wait, there's something bigger than me making this thing go. Okay, so from a metaphysical realm, then that means I need to shift my consciousness so I can get some distance. And begin to unpack this from that higher place. That's why we're having these conversations. It's not easy, but it's not hard.
So question for you. So it's just money, right? And it's something that technically it's just money, right? And I'm like thinking of my brother. It's just money. It's just money. He doesn't have any sweat or care concern about money, and it comes to him like crazy. It's like, okay, I need to listen to you more. Is what matters then, going back to your point, is the tangible? I'm not trying to say that people should form an attachment to the things they can get with something that is just metaphysical, but
money is currency. It's energy. It's a vibration. It's a flow. So just like any other flow, it's like what's important to you. And I feel like we do form those attachments, and that's what repels it. So when you go, I would love to live in a beautiful home that looks this very specific way, right? Some people, a very beautiful home that looks this very specific way is like a tiny home that's literally on the ocean, and you can go out every day and do your morning walks, right? Some people, it is a 40,000 square foot mansion in the country somewhere where it's, there are no people around. Some people, you're using your imagination for what your wildest dreams are. Now, here's the thing. Everything is about cipher and circulation. What happens is people accumulate the things as a currency for their self-esteem.
Because their imagination is limited.
Because their imagination is limited. they're not buying these things because they bring them joy. They're not acquiring these things because there's joy attached to it. They're acquiring these things because their self-esteem, their ego is attached to it.
Right.
And that's a very different conversation.
Another follow-up question, because this is, I'm sorry, just fascinated by this. So when we hear someone's worth $1 billion, that's relative. That's irrelevant, isn't it? Right.
It's relevant to this culture and this,
or it's relevant to a specific art. So a lot of this stuff is that we hear and we get we receive information on. It's from a media outlet. And I saw an article last week that said, "Oh, Biden's in trouble." So yeah, Joe Biden was in trouble, and I immediately looked to who wrote the article, and it was Newt Gingrich, and it was an opinion piece for Newsweek. But the title, well, I thought it was like an actual. So I was like, okay, this is it. What it should have says op-ed, what they used to say, which is op-ed. Biden's in trouble. Okay, got it.
Opinion piece. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And but one of the things when we hear this person's worth $1 billion, or you go to Google somebody and say what's their net worth, even in that situation, it's what reason is the media outlet or the media source expressing this person's net worth? And so when you look at Forbes is saying we have a list of people that we think you should be informed about that are worth this amount of money. Why is Forbes doing that? So they can sell magazines.
Right.
And so they can be thought of as a thought leader in that space.
Right.
But that's not necessarily, to this conversation, informing us that the person's actually worth that.
Right.
And
why
that's
is that
why
relevant? Why is that relevant? Because that is how Donald Trump manipulated his way
that's,
to
that,
it.
that's what exactly that, and also the fact that a lot of times, unfortunately, with Google, people Google people's net worth, and that's not true. It's just not. That's not what they're worth. It's just like just like Jay-Z.
Al Sharpton's worth. Now that was unbelievable.
Oh, what is it?
It's like $500,000.
I'm not
well,
surprised.
But see, there's.
But you would think it would be higher based on his influence.
That's
but point is that the number could be off. I'm just throwing out that point.
No, but that's but
Could be.
this goes back also to us going to places like mixers, clubs, whatever, and the very first thing when we meet someone new is say, "What do you do?"
Yeah,
Like that goes back to that. Like there's no grace in that, because you don't even care about the person you're talking to. You're playing chess with who, you know what I'm saying? Like, or checkers or whatever
I get your analogy.
And I want a simple thing is cash. Like when you talk about cash and you talk about digital, so quote unquote, let's go with this fake, not say fake, but generalized number that Jay-Z is worth $1 billion now. But when you unpack that, cash-wise, he's not liquid.
We talked about that. He's like worth $200 million or something.
And so that means,
which isn't chump change, by the way.
But that means that his net worth, and that's the other thing. What's your gross? What's your net? What do you actually have?
What your company's valuated as?
What do you actually have in cash? And so, like,
which is why he could not buy an NFL team, because he would have to literally sell all of his assets in order to.
And Apple is worth trout shoveled almost $1 trillion because they actually have cash on hand of over $200-300 billion.
I bet they do.
Cash.
I bet they do.
I'm always wondering when they say cash,
where they put it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There are no banks that even have that much.
Right, exactly.
So that's where the Cayman Islands come in.
Right, and at that point it becomes, well, if somebody does a I'm suing you for that $1 trillion. Who's gonna be the person?
Where are you gonna put it?
And what bank is going to guarantee that
no
bank is available to you? So
but
I think
that's
it's
part
relative.
of the reason why
I think that's a relative.
People put their money in assets,
right?
Because they're
exactly.
They buy homes, they buy yachts, because they can't put it anywhere.
Right. It's not enough. It's not enough places.
Debts.
It's not enough. Right.
Debts.
Or they buy debt. Exactly. They buy debt. And as we found out today, Nas's invested app, the Earning app, I did not realize this. The Earning app that loans you money on your paycheck is
it's a payday loan.
Yes, and but they ask. Well, here's the thing. They ask for a fee they asked for a donation. They got around. They possibly, because I think that shout out to Letitia over in New York. I think the attorney generals like Letitia are going to come for earning, because you can't say, give me a donation, suggested donation of $9 on $100. That's 462%. That's like, that's worse than payday. like you're, so if you said 1,000, that would be 9 times 10, which is $90. You know, like that, you can't do that. But because it's a donation, then they're getting around the whole loan, quote unquote, status for now.
You said Nas invested in this?
Yeah, but not just Nas, but some of the bigger, Andreessen Horowitz, one of the big venture capital firms. One of the biggest venture capital firms.
Let me pull out my boycott list. Let me write this name.
Well, they're earning
seriously,
it's horrible.
sad.
It's just like the Russell Simmons rush card was horrible.
I mean,
it was horrible.
It goes back to, the conversation about grace and vocation. If you're trying to make yield or make money, why does it have to be off the
backs of those who have the least?
Right. What about finding purpose or fulfillment or wealth, as we talked about, in some other way?
And there's a great app called Kiva. I mean, a great site called Kiva that you could actually back interest-free loans to people.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but then you don't see any of these billionaires or these celebrities really backing Kiva. Kiva's made its way through the world through microloans in places like India, and it's starting to take off
I've
here.
heard of Kiva.
Right.
I've heard of it.
But nobody's really backing. Like nobody big is coming.
You know
where
I first heard of that?
Right.
So my parents are immigrants. That's
Yes.
like a very
Susu.
Exactly. Like
Susu.
money,
Oh, right.
And you
Yes.
just pay it forward.
Right.
And there's no expectation of having to
Didn't we
earn
talk
money off
about
of that.
this?
We wanted to, I believe.
So what part?
We talked about where you get together. Maybe it was something that I was thinking about, where you get together, a group of your friends, and everybody puts in $100 a month, and at the end of the month, that whole pot goes to one person, and then you start it every month. And so
you only talked about it because there was that concept of those guys who shaved up
and it's
for a
called
year
Susu,
and
right?
bought a business.
Like you said, it's called Susu.
Yeah, the popular Caribbean community, particularly.
There was young guys
more
in Philly
so
that did that. They collected their money
Yeah,
and bought a property.
it was a group of friends that did that.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So,
I remember that.
but I think the challenge with grace, right, is that the application of grace and living a graceful life, a life full of grace, is that it's not necessarily a graciousness. It's not necessarily thought of as a profitable life.
Right.
You don't make profit. We're going to talk about the profit we make.
Yeah.
But that's not
but that's a very good point, because this is where we are. We're at the intersection between what makes me money and what makes me good.
Why can't we have both? Yeah.
You get what I mean?
And what makes you whole?
That's even better. Ooh. What makes me money and what makes me whole? Because again, we're still talking about spirituality and spirit as though it's this thing that's outside of us, and the goal is to integrate as spirit is everything, and all the choices that we make is not on Sunday, it is from right now.
Oh, did you say Sunday?
And
did you say Thursday night Bible study?
You see what I'm talking about? Because that is the next what we're seeing are growing pains. That is the evolution. That's the next thing that's happening. This experiment that we did with capitalism isn't working. It's too top heavy now.
This American experiment. Because it's not just capitalism.
Well, you're right. You're right.
Because to your point about what's happened to the people that we forget,
they don't go anywhere.
Yep.
So
we're
the
outside.
idea.
I'll that bridge right over there.
How about it? The whole tent city, and the idea, Dr. Jima, is to persistently use our imagination in a way that we are persistently birthing this new earth that is happening. Persistently birthing this new earth, because anything that is not growing is soil, and what we're suffering right now is a stillbirth because we've decided not to grow.
Right.
We got stuck.
Yep.
And so that's what's happening.
Your soil.
Right. Come on now. Tree your soil. 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. Get in on this woo-woo lab.
Good stuff.
You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? This is the Anthony McKee Show. We'll be right back.
Right.
Support independent black media and join the onWURD movement now at 215-425-7875
Or visit wordradio.com.
What up, Philly? It's Solomon Jones from Wake Up with Word. Join me Saturday, September 14th from 11 to 3 for Hope for Philly. We're going to have free food, a job fair, giveaways, gospel ministry, face painting, moon bounces, and more. Come out and join us for Hope for Philly Saturday, September 14th at the Pennypacker School, 1858 East Washington Lane. And it's all brought to you by WURD, the Philadelphia Inquirer, ShopRite, AT&T, Sherelle Parker's office, Believers Bible Fellowship, Great Commission Church, Riverside Community Church, Mount Airy Baptist Church, and more. Hope for Philly, be there. For more information, go to WURDradio.com.
Get your money straight.
Get my money right.
With Solomon Jones and Akbar Hassan.
Fridays on Wake Up with Word.
7 a.m. till 10 a.m. Hosted by Solomon Jones. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on wordradio.com and on the Word Radio app.
It's September, and once again, it's time for the 13th annual Strawberry Mansion North Philly Fest, September 7th, 2019. The event is located at the Mender Recreation Center, 33rd and Diamond Street from 12 noon to 6 p.m. The Strawberry Mansion Neighborhood Action Center, Strawberry Mansion Community Development Corporation, and Council President Darrell L. Clark welcomes you for free food, resources and information, talent show, children's carnival rides, and live music from Philly's own Down to Earth, Breakwater. Coast to Coast, a special appearance by Kwame, and DJ Gary O. Main entertainment begins at 2 p.m. Join us this Saturday at the Strawberry Mansion North Philly Fest at Manda Recreation Center. We hope to see you there.
Next Thursday, you will be caught in an extreme flash flood.
Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Talk to your loved ones about making an emergency plan. Get started today at ready.gov/plan. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work.
Sorry, I'm late.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Drive in
with Solomon Jones.
Drive home
with Charles Ellison.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Philadelphia, independent black media. Envy's evolution is the Envy McKee Show.
Hey, with Philly's own Kindred, the family soul.
Hey, what's up? This is Kevin Carr.
Yo, what's up? This your boy Genuine right here on the Envy McKee Show. And I always stay tuned.
Join the Envolution exclusively on Word. Evolution is the Envy McKee Show.
I think what you're trying to ask is, why am I so insistent? My job is to somehow make them curious enough or persuade them by hook or crook to get more aware of themselves and where they came from and what they are into and what is already there, and just to bring it out. This is what compels me to compel them, and I will do it by whatever means necessary.
On wordradio.com.
Daddy now, love me good. Oh, Daddy, love me good, yeah. Love me good, yeah. Oh, Daddy, help me good.
you go. But just to keep holding on, I have to wait again. While time waits, all I know. As I awake and count the days, wishing I could dream them all away. Don't wait, I know, baby, it ends. Don't wait, not till I see you again. Don't wait me, I know, baby, it ends. Don't wait, baby. It gets harder and harder just remembering. I can't escape the doubt that's in the air. Holding out for winter and worry about spring. Every moment that I know we'll share. Lie awake and count the days, wishing I could dream them all away.
Our official house band on the Anthony McKee Show, Moonchild. Listen, speak truth to power. Speak it into existence. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep,
Welcome back. My name is Anthony McKee, Frosty Phoenix. We got, what's your name? Martin the Man. I'm just playing. His face, you could have seen his face, the darts that came out his eye holes. He was like,
eye holes, really? He said, I'll do that. And now
listen, Dr. Ajima in the house.
Let's change the subject.
Right, I'm not, I can't. Like, you picked up on some of Naima's whatever because that was a full out channel. Like, try it. Mark.
Word.
So we're talking about the art of being grace all of this month, and this particular show we have been unpacking in the lab. We've been unpacking I'm trying to figure out what exactly this is, because it's community, it's culture. Are we unpacking the culture aspect of it? We're looking at grace from what? Obviously from a metaphysical standpoint, but also a practical standpoint.
I would say like the disconnect of
the practice of grace.
Right. But also the internalization, right? You said something about being graceful and gracious, but
what does that mean when you think somebody is graceful? When you think somebody is embodying grace? They what?
They pull. You know, poor people are able to do grace.
Oh my God.
They pull. So that's people who can do grace, because rich people don't do grace. Successful people don't do grace.
I feel like that's not true.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying what the thought process is.
Who I think is graceful?
Who?
I think
Michelle Obama,
Barack Obama.
Right. She thought, but is she thought of as well? Now we may think of her as wealthy, but is she thought of as wealthy?
Yeah. When you get multi-million
do you think white people think of her as wealthy, or do you think she's?
We cannot listen.
Well, we're talking about unpacking grace and what the thought process.
Moments where we are not worried about what the white lens thinks about what we think.
But we can't. You talked about the American experiment and this country and all that stuff. So that, unfortunately, that's what sets the tone. So from top down.
But it doesn't set the. So we're about to have a Matrix moment. Does it set the tone because we say it sets the tone, or does it set the tone because, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
because they own Madison Avenue. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say
because we continue to define things by the terms that we were given.
I totally agree with you. Totally. That's a problem.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep, I do.
That you remember in the Oracle in the Matrix when she said, "I want you to pull it up and play it." You know, the thing that's really going to cook. She said, "The thing that's going to really cook your noodle is did you break it because I told you to watch."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The spoon.
Right.
Yeah. No, she's talking about. She said, "Be careful." And then he bumped into a vase, and the vase broke. And she said, "Now what's going to really cook your noodle is would you have bumped it? Would you have broken it if you bumped it if I didn't say anything?"
Right. And so, I think that. Anyway, my point was, when you think of grace, the people that it's either the person is uber wealthy and they have the ability to do grace, or it's a person that, you know, the mother of 7 that goes to church and she donates time, and grace is always I don't see the middle. I don't see that. You see images of people who are working and a successful couple. They're not necessarily rich, but they're
like
constantly in their
like,
life doing graceful
Camille
things.
Cosby, I feel like she's grace. No, you don't think so? Why do you make that face? Why do you make that face? The reason why I said that is because throughout her husband,
a cold breeze. She said,
why?
Cosby.
I didn't say Bill.
I got you. He said Camille, and the whole studio.
No, you went.
It's like saying Hillary was graceful.
She was not graceful. Hillary is not graceful. Hillary is about as graceful as a cow, like, you know, in a china shop.
Okay, so we.
And I know what but she's not a bull. She is a sow. I don't like this whole cow at all. I don't like where this is going.
So Oprah, graceful, not graceful?
I think Oprah's graceful. What you think?
No, I don't think so.
I'm wondering why we're using these as examples.
I don't know.
As grace.
Because Martin was saying the people that have money are not graceful.
Yes.
And I was saying thought of.
He's saying that grace comes with funding.
When people think I want,
grace comes with funding.
and not, meaning that our audience or our community may not reach for grace because it's not thought of as something that if you have grace, do you have power? So to me, we're unpacking and showing the power of grace.
The thought is seeing someone who has grace, who say wins the lottery, or someone who comes upon a lump sum of money and it changes. There's plenty of different stories about it, written stories, TV shows, blah blah blah. When they come up on wealth, they come from a nice person and they become a very selfish, inconsiderate person about their wins, that they don't want to lose this anymore, and then they learn a lesson that you should probably still be graceful even though you got this money and give to others.
It's after the fact, not before the fact. Right?
Yeah, right.
And it's not necessarily a top-down thought process. It's more of a bottom-up, meaning like the top can choose that. They have a license, so they have space to choose that. Bottom doesn't reach for grace because if you have grace, you're going to stay at the bottom.
If you have nothing and don't interact with people in a giving nature, you will be lonely. You will have nothing. Because you give to receive. Well, you give and you get things in return. Giving and being gracious is rewarding in itself. It's a great nature. It's also relieving. It's a good feeling. When you have nothing, then you just have nothing to lose. So therefore, you have everything to gain. But someone who has gained everything has also that to lose, and that goes with the selfish deal of physical. I have this to lose, and I can't be gracious, because if you're gracious, then you give to others and they take from you. It's a whole cycle situation.
And I think going back to what we're trying to figure
Some
out,
people take from
what
you,
we're
not
trying to impart to our audience or figure out why aren't people doing, or what wealth really is, and what that really looks like in creating the world you want to create. And that gives you that agency or that license to create. That actually is wealthy. That you actually have
the license to create.
You have that license to create. But ego or whatever, or society norms says in creating that world of grace, with grace, that if you use grace, you're weak, or you're poor, or you can only do that when you achieve here. You can't do that at growing up.
So, do you want to say something?
No, I'm finally getting what you're saying. You have to achieve a certain standard, particularly material standard, in order to...
Or power.
Right. To be able to freely use grace.
That's the thought process.
I think that might be the thought process, but I don't think that's true.
No, I'm not saying...
I agree,
exactly.
I think that's the mental shackle people have.
And that's what we got to break. That's what we got to dismiss.
So we should have done this at the beginning. I'm shitting myself.
What's that? Definition.
Grace derives from the Greek charis. In secular Greek, charis was related to chairo.
Charity?
To rejoice. No, chairo.
Okay.
Chairo. As far back as Homer, it denoted sweetness or attractiveness. Charis came to signify favor, goodwill, and loving kindness, especially as granted by a superior. to an inferior. And the reason why this happens is because in my very brief looking up the definition, most of what grace is signifying is it's a religious signifier. It's the grace of God. So this is where I wish we had a brother Amun to break down these words.
What's interesting because charity,
the Greek derivation who borrowed from other civilizations.
Right.
Clearly, she said no. The way she's looking at this thing, she's like no. And then also when you look at it, always most of the conversation is the grace of God.
Right.
And so the thought process is God gives us grace, and so it's a top-down mentality.
Exactly.
We don't have grace innately. We get it from somewhere else.
Right.
And so if you are a superior, and that comes from this hierarchy that we live with, that there are ranks to these things.
Right.
So only someone above you can show grace, and it's not a linear or a cyclical thing where grace is an action is a way of being. Where, for example, rather than complaining that. I'm going to bring it home a little more home. Rather than complaining that the toilet seat is left up, you just put it down. That's grace. You never mention it. You just put it down.
And so that's an interesting scenario. What do you receive from that?
Nothing.
And so why do it?
Because it is...
You receive nothing from it.
Well, what? Okay. Oh, we were doing...
So for audience that can't see, they're doing the
You got it.
They're doing
because you're gonna say I'm just excited. This is like me being professor mode about your answer.
She's in her moment.
Because the idea is we don't have to point it all out. You know, we all make mistakes. We all leave the drawers open. We all leave the cabinets open. Rather than say you left the cabinet open, just close it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's kind of relinquishing ourselves of our pet peeves.
But why are you able to do that?
Right.
Why am I able?
Right.
Yeah. Why would a person be able to do that?
Right.
Generosity,
why do they have license to do
spirit.
that? What gives them the?
But we talked about this before.
What?
It was one of your shift prompts. But why would you be able to do that? Was it about
wholeness?
You? Yes.
Wholeness.
Right.
Yes.
And so for our audience to get there, our audience to go there and get. They're paying patty cake, by the way.
We were trying to do the Miss Seeley.
Oh, okay, yeah, gotcha. Oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Shout out to Steven Spielberg for telling a black story, but yes, okay. Shout out to Alice Walker.
Yes.
But so.
Or for example, when people don't take their carts back to the station, you use the whatever the cart trough is. People don't take their carts back. You just if it's in your way. No, you take the carts.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Or you take it back up.
Or when I go into Starbucks and I pick up paper on the floor, people look at me and I go, "Yes, I'm a shareholder, but also I care about how this place looks because it's in my neighborhood."
Yes.
So my neighborhood value is
when you're walking your neighborhoods and you see plastic or trash or whatever on the floor, you pick it up on the ground. You pick it up and you throw it in the recycling. That's grace. Rather than go to the meeting.
Right.
You do the work. You pick it up.
So wholeness and ownership. And so when you think of yourself as not a player, but an actual owner in the owner's box, that's interesting because to your point in relationship, I tend to jump ahead and do all these things. So if Naima gets up and she sees all this stuff done, and I don't say I did. If she says, "Why are you tired?" or then I'll list the things I did. But most of the time I don't list it because I just feel like my father, in his relationship with this manipulative, this person,
grace.
This person,
grace.
He took the smallest piece of meat. He made sure the dinner table was everybody ate, and then my mind as a man, what I'm supposed to do is take less, is push more. Hear me out. In a relationship, I'm saying, my giving grace or my owning the relationship, my part of being an owner is like in the Bible, if you want to be thought of as first, you must do more. If you want to be the boss, there's a cost to pay, which is that you have to own that situation, the whole situation, even the other person's shortcomings, because and now I can own that shortcomings. Sometimes you own that shortcomings. You want to punish the person. You like to throw up in their face like, I had to do this because you don't do. But the grace of God, grace from above, up. Instead of going down, coming up.
Yeah, but I want to be careful here because there's a space of martyrdom that happens.
Yes, exactly.
And that's not what I'm talking about. I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we
don't take less just because.
Yeah,
not giving grace.
Because I also do speak up when I'm tired. I'm learning to speak up when I'm tired because I'm the kind of person that if I'm only going to ask you to do it once, and I'm talking about my daughter.
Speak on it.
I'm only going to ask you to do it once, and I kind of. The way I'm trying to get Aubrey to think about things is
perfectionist stuff.
Yeah. But if you see it needs to be done, don't step over it. Just do it.
Right.
Do you get what I mean?
It's a generation of people who want to talk about that.
And so I feel like it's emotional labor for me to be I don't want to manage the household. Everybody lives here. Yeah. You see the thing on the floor, pick the thing up. Why am I the only one picking the thing up from the floor? You get what I mean? So I'm going to do it. My grace is I'm not going to tell you about your quote-unquote shortcomings because I don't view them as shortcomings.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't view it that way.
So what do you view it as? Because this is unpacking something. This is deep.
Just doing what needs to be done.
No. What do you view them not doing it, walking over it after you then pointed it out? Remember you said you just pointed out once.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm saying it in a moment. So what I'm saying is, if I walk
more than once,
right, in that moment, what I'm saying is, if I go into the kitchen and all the cabinets over, I probably let the cabinets over is me.
Right, okay.
You know, and this is the difference. This is the difference between. This is the difference in our current relationship, right?
Right.
So. I'm constantly doing multitasking. I'm doing more than one thing at one time, and I need to do better about that. So I will leave. I will pull something out. The cabinet will be open. You know, I'll close it later because I'm the one that really deep cleans that kitchen. But the fact that it's open,
while it's open,
it's open, so it looks like there's a lot going on, right? I'm not coming at your neck, love. I just need to use this as an example. Freeman will say, "Oh, baby, you left the cabinets open." You know what I'm saying? The difference is if he leaves the toilet seat up, I will just put it down.
Right.
And never say anything.
Right.
And it will never. And the fact that I'm saying it is it makes me feel like, why did I? But you get what I mean? Like the difference is, I will just close the.
I like
cabinet.
the daughter situation better because I think what I'm talking about is, and I think the next segment we go into is about mentorship. And I'm trying to apply this in my life, and I have more. I think both of us have relationships where our love, also part of this is filial and also agape and also eros. So our forms of love also institute us to reach higher. So but in a parent-child relationship,
that's where it gets tricky, right?
Right, and so that's why I wanted to go back to that one because if you see the spoon on the floor, child,
pick the spoon up.
Right, and then if you say, I'm going to pick it up for them, but you're not going to point out. You said you didn't see it as a flaw, so I'm trying. That's good.
It's not a flaw. It's not a flaw.
So what do you see it as?
It's a behavioral thing. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And so do you not impact that behavior? Do you not?
Listen. I want to be clear.
Yes.
Like we conflate what people do with who they are.
Correct.
And so what I'm trying to not do with my daughter is make her feel like she's less than a human being because she leaves a spoon on the floor or whatever. There should be a spoon on the floor.
So your behavior needs to adapt.
You can modify your behavior.
Right. Not modify who you are, but modify your behavior.
So what I'm saying is who you are is not adjustable. What you do is.
Yeah,
because
that's
not
my
who you
issue
are.
with millennials, and that's where that helped me a lot right there.
I represent millennials. My name is Mr. Millennial.
Right, exactly. And so when we talk about this mentorship at 940 and this whole unpacking,
really locking down on this
because I think it's so cool.
I don't know what's going to happen at 940.
He's going to play that. You're going to play that song.
I have it. Yes.
Yeah. Everybody wears sunscreen, and we're going to talk about this thing that I feel our generation has not done well, which is to give them actionable advice, behavior tips or behave. Like, point out that, okay, you're going to have to go to school.
The key here is what I'm teaching Aubrey is treat me.
Yes.
And treat this environment the way you want to experience it.
Oh,
and then you also
that's a t-shirt.
And then you also have to be mindful of who's coming behind you.
Right.
If you don't like going into the kitchen and it looks crazy, then you need to
step in some wet
juice
that was left on the floor.
Exactly.
Because you done some
you have to be
condensation.
mindful.
Or a full sink of dishes.
Grace in that is I think maybe we're honing in on what grace is.
And that's
being
why this is the lab.
mindful.
This is the lab, baby.
Being mindful of who's coming behind you.
Yes.
So
and how do you want to experience?
How you want to experience
the experience.
The experience.
Millennials.
But who's coming behind you? So you clean the kitchen even if you didn't mess it up because you're thinking about somebody else's experience.
Right. And your own experience. And your own experience.
Right. And your own. So it's like.
And that's the karma. See, our generation call it karma.
Karma. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't like karma because there's so many other things rooted with that.
Yeah.
But
I'm
that's
familiarizing it with my brain.
But that's a good idea.
I didn't think about grace.
And karma is they're linked.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yes. See? I love the lab. Being in the lab on Friday nights.
So
first and third.
215-634-8065. I keep inviting you. 866-361-0900. You doing double dutch right now. You want to say something, but you like, well, they vibing. You vibe too. You know what I'm talking about?
In his joint.
Right? I can't. Martin. What do we woo that?
Trigger.
Right. You see it?
I was doing
all
so
night.
Good.
I've been doing so good.
She had to ride the room. That was you. You triggered yourself.
Let's go. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Envy McKee.
Okay, bye.
This is the Envy McKee Show. That's DJ Frosty Phoenix on the ones and twos.
Frosty.
That's Martin the Man. Dr. Ajima, resident life explorer. This is the Envy McKee Show. We'll be right back.
Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on WURD Radio.
WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
I ain't no better than you. And you ain't no better than me. But we all have something in common. We all are species. Seeds of God's creation.
Tune in to Messages in the Music every Friday night with Joey T, midnight to 6 a.m. right here on WURD.
WURDradio.com.
Word Show on the go.
Tell us where you'd like to see the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, bring the Word Show on the Go team next. Visit WURDradio.com. Click the Word Show on the Go banner and let us know about your community event, big news in your community, or an issue you'd like to see addressed. You can also catch up on the latest episode of Word Show on the Go, or binge watch previous episodes. It's Word Show on the Go with the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, exclusively on WURDradio.com. Word Show on the Go is funded in part by the Facebook Journalism Project Community Network. EcoWord. Wednesdays on Reality Check with Charles Ellison.
4 p.m. till 7 p.m.
Right here on WURD Radio.
And WURDradio.com.
At Dietz & Watson, we've spent over 75 years focusing on the details. This can be traced back to our founder, Gottlieb Dietz, who learned how to make Franks and sausages the right way in Germany. Today, each one of our delicious offerings is meticulously crafted using perfected details. Because if it isn't good enough for our family, it isn't good enough for yours. To us, the details make all the difference.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to WURD Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Envy's evolution is the Envy McKee Show.
Hey, with Philly's own Kindred, the family soul.
Hey, what's up? This is Kevin Carr. Yo, what's up? This your boy Genuine right here on the Envy McKee Show. Now, always stay tuned.
Join the Envolution exclusively on Word. Evolution is the Envy McKee Show.
Miss Thing. It's not real. Say what? You heard. It ain't even real. You wish you had hair like this. Girl, you know you weren't even born with blue eyes. That's right. Blue contact lenses. They're just jealous. Right. Jealous. Kick the nanny. Barbie doll. Hi, yellow heifer. Tar baby. Wanna be white? Chickaboo. Don't start. We're gonna finish it. Riri, open up.
Join the Envolution on WordRadio.com.
Talk about good and bad hair. Whether you're dark or you're fair. So you can go on and swear. See if I can. Good and bad hair. I just said it so well. Don't wait and see. Let it be so. Can't we just say nobody has to know? The more I look around, the less I found to keep me here. Everyone that I care for, absorbed in their excuses, has disappeared. It happens naturally, it's what they tell me, but alone feels just the same. It's you, it's only you that makes it feel okay. Can we just get away? Can't we just try? Can't we let go? Breathing inside, just let it show. Don't wait and see, let it be so. Can't we just try? Nobody has to know.
Moonchild on the Envy McKee Show. Like, if you're listening to Moonchild, you're like, oh, you know what? That's supposed to be the Envy McKee Show. I just feel like they're the official.
And
The
like,
official band.
Fallon's.
That's right. The Roots.
Yeah, the Roots. Yeah.
Moonchild is ours. But I feel like it's going to be weird because they had like 3 white people.
Listen.
So
Except all woo-woo. Like, listen.
we do. I'm just saying, though. Johnny Popcorn.
I mean, yeah, no, that's true. That's next week.
So you're right. So we're talking about the art of being grace, and we've been able to really kind of unpack what we believe grace to be. And I think we're kind of nailing down that grace is related to karma. We're treating life the way we want to experience it. And so we're thinking of people that are coming behind us. And so there's a level of grace to being eco-friendly and sustainable human beings. I think this is going to be the month that we really talk about eco-justice and what it means to have a sustainable household.
Wow.
I'm getting the book, the Sustainable Household book. I have been bulljanking on getting that book paper. But I'm really, really interested. Like, my goal in our house is to get us off plastic 100%.
Oh,
that's
great.
plastic
Yeah.
bags. It's all the little plastic things. I'm really a
What are you doing for freezer? What do you put? How do you store something in the freezer?
Silicone.
Yeah, they have the silicone reusable bags.
Really?
Yeah, you can even use the ball jars. You can even put
Yeah,
you can put those in the freezer too. What I ended up doing, and I'm going to post on my Star. I will post on my Star People-ish page at some point. I took pictures of. We got it one of those IKEA shelves, the galvanized steel shelves that look like the pantry, and it took everything that was in a bag, the sugar. Well. Like one thing, and put them in the ball jars.
Yeah.
And I used a whole bunch of like the old pickle jars, I repurposed a lot of the stuff. Rather than recycle those things, we just repurpose it. And the spaghetti and all that other stuff. I think that's going to be one of the conversations we're going to have on this one. Because grace, if you really think about grace, and if you really think about how we're defining it, thinking about who's coming behind you, who's coming after you, we really have to be more mindful about what we're doing with this planet and intentional. When you are planting, these gardens that we have, these community gardens, yes, planting food is a license to print money.
Get that sustainability sponsorship.
Right.
Get that bag. Get that sustainability.
Doing solar, all of these ways that we really start to reframe the conversation we're having about what sustainable looks like. If you think about when we're not sustainable, all of these climate changes impact those who are in underserved, who are underserved communities the most. They impact the poor. They impact the elderly. They impact the children. They impact the people who are quote unquote considered the least of these, right? So our job for those of us who are able-bodied is to do what we can, and we start with our own lives. We're not out here being evangelists. We start with our own lives, and then what we learn from our own self-experiment, that's what the whole concept of being a life explorer is about. We make our lives a social experiment, and then we go out and we share that information with other people. And so that's what I'm attempting to do, to get off.
Attempting, you're doing it.
I'm doing it. We're getting off the plastic. And we're gonna charge the way.
Can I challenge us to do something in terms of reimagining or defining grace?
Yeah,
possibly. And this is just part of perhaps my own ignorance of the term karma, is to not associate it with it. No, and this is just again, I said coming from my own ignorance of just what the word means. Its history.
You want me to look it up?
Sure.
What is your thought process behind it?
I hear what you're saying.
I place a sort of stigma with it. Because it's sort of like
culturally
a harsh lesson to say exactly. Well, not really. Yes, I think that fits within it, but just more so, it's a sanitized way of doing better as opposed to this deeper intentional work of grace being about sustainability. I think
not being
grace
easy.
being actionable, and karma is kind of like it's like a debt to be paid. I understand.
By saying you don't mean to be graceful to get grace in return.
Right, it's not transactional. It shouldn't be transactional.
Karma means action, word, or deed. It also refers to the spiritual principle of cause and effect, where intent and actions of an individual influence the future of that individual.
Murphy's Law.
Influence the future of that individual.
Right.
But I like what you're talking about sustainability about. More than just the individual, people coming after us, the world.
Yeah, thinking beyond ourselves.
And this idea of cause and effect, it's sort of like,
but if you think about it, when I think of cause and effect, I just think of input determines output.
Sure.
So what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah.
And what lots of people don't recognize is that you are not, a leaf whiling away. And you know what I'm saying?
Whiling away.
You're just not. You whatever you're putting in is what you're going to get out.
Right. Period. I think it's easy with that definition just to think about yourself.
Yeah, that's
true.
And
be selfish. As opposed to grace, like you were saying, it is about the people, the person coming after you.
Yes.
And if we all we plant a tree because we know that, a generation, 10 generations behind us will be impacted by the oxygen that tree creates.
Yeah.
If we start thinking in terms of that, when I make this action right here, who is going to benefit? Who is going to impact generations after? And we only do that. We only think of that when we think of generational wealth. But we only think of generational wealth in terms of money. And so Jay-Z, when we talked about Jay-Z, was it last week or the week before?
2 weeks ago.
When we talked about Jay-Z, I believe if you look at Jay-Z's work, he's creating an environment where his daughter and his children will be benefit just like the white people before them. He's using the Rockefellers, and he's doing a cultural shift. He's basically taking a system that is already in place and he's just co-opting it for the quote-unquote culture. That's my assessment of it from a
You ever see it as he's doing it, and it's you ever do something where, say, it was a cause and effect. You were doing something like, say, if you open the door and you go, oh, you're opening the door for me, and you just happen to be like, okay, well, I was technically opening the door for myself,
but for other reasons, but
you walked through it, sure, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing. Like Jay-Z's trying to help, like you said, his generational wealth, his daughter and son, right? The twins.
Well,
and
input and output, and I'm not taking. I know what you're saying.
Right.
I think I know what you're saying.
He's helping his family, but in that doing so, inspiring others to look at him as like a beaming light of helping.
Yeah, that's just a cuter version of the trickle down economics to me. That's
so you're saying if he did it with grace, he would be more intentional.
If he did it with grace, I feel like this whole conversation would be different.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, we really don't need another concert. We don't need another NFL.
They don't?
Well,
we don't.
Yeah, we don't. But
we don't need another.
Are you talking about initiatives like LeBron's school? Is that what we're talking about?
Done with grace.
So now
That's grace.
Now, another thing about the Carters is there's only using them as an example because of this, that they have these foundations and scholarships that no one really talks about. Like when Beyonce came out, the scholarship, they did talk about it. And then when you look up Jay-Z, he does have the Sean Carter Foundation, which actually gives
2 decades.
That gives scholarships. We don't talk about that. He doesn't run around saying, "I give out scholarships to students." He goes, "I'm doing rap." Oh, and by the way, if you look more into me, you find what you're talking about.
See this, and we talked about this at some point. I know we did. I have an issue with charity. I really do, because I feel like
unless you skate. And if I do charity, then I can do everything else.
Let's be clear. A lot of these foundations are tax shelters.
Are you talking about write-offs?
No, this is
right. So it's like you have these foundations because you have nowhere else to put your money. Do you get what I mean? So you give away a certain amount of money. Those are tax write-offs. You get that money back.
So here's
like
the thing:
can we do good?
But can we do good? Not Jay-Z. I'm going back to what we said. Can we do good? And
yes,
and so,
but we have to have this conversation. No, we have to have this conversation from a place of wholeness. And can I also say this? Just because if you have a foundation and nobody's talking about it, you don't have a foundation.
Well, hold up.
Do you get what I'm saying? LeBron James isn't. You know what I'm saying?
The uber wealthy have what they call family offices, and so Ford Foundation is a family office. And so what happens is when you both are going to remember this word. When a wealth event happens,
right,
a family office is created, and very few billion-dollar families talk about their family office. They talk or their family foundation, and so it exists. As you said, it's a tax write-off, but they also have their pet projects and pet passion things they do. But they don't go get PR for that. For 2 reasons. 1, they don't want people to know that they're billionaires, and 2, that to your point, it's a tax write-off.
So, like I said, charity, while I appreciate that people have foundations and that some money goes to some places, while I appreciate that, companies do these kinds of things that are considered charity, while I appreciate it, why don't you pay people a living wage? Why don't we stop hoarding the funds and put it back in the flow so it's circulating? Why don't we stop acting like we're doing all, when you create environments for such wealth disparity and then you use charity to make yourself feel good, that's not grace.
So here's the thing that we can talk about grace, and my point earlier about making the comparison with someone who has money in the learning of grace, learning of the story, blah blah blah. You end up learning that you should have grace and money. Scrooge is a good example.
Right,
and
he had to find grace by force and by foul.
And his dreams got haunted, my guy. She's haunted by 3 ghosts, my guy. But in the sense of when you have all of that, and there's a scenario too where you have that money, right, and so you give, and the people who could like zombies, just scratch away and take all your thing. Now you have nothing like everybody else, and that's what you get for being graceful to those that want and take.
But that's not.
So that's
remember
the thing.
What she said about me. That's martyrdom.
Yeah,
that's not grace.
Like
that's being a martyr.
No, I'm not talking about when you do it willingly and you just lose it and you go, you give and then it goes away. It's like
you're saying they don't get anything in return for giving. They just give and they're done.
No, I'm saying about there's a line. Let's say when you're giving through a corporation or a foundation that you put up and say, oh, you're getting it back. Yeah, but I'm still giving. Versus if you just give with no give back to yourself, you will have nothing like the other people who have already spent that. There's a balance here.
Well, you should also be tithing,
right?
So you're always in the flow.
But no one can be done
through the foundation.
But that's different.
It can be done through a trust and foundation. situation.
Listen,
it can be.
We have to be mindful. And I forgot what I was going to say just that fast.
No, but here's the thing. Okay, so what I think what DJ Frosty is saying is that if let's say for instance, and I'm planning to do this, I'm going to be fully transparent. I'm going to do this, and if you feel that I'm doing wrong, then you feel I'm doing wrong. But I'm going to take a certain amount of money, and that's going to go into the stock market, and then that initial amount I'm taking out and saying, here's the tithe, and that money that created a fund for me to give from my amount.
But do you know what tithing is?
It's a percentage of
tithing is taking 10% of your first fruits and recirculating it in the place where you get your spiritual food.
And I need to know that I'm going to, let's say my first fruit, I want to have a guaranteed first fruit to give. In other words, if I no longer am able to achieve, I know this is set up.
That's not how tithing works. But I understand what you're doing. I understand what you're doing. You trying to jerry rig the system.
No, I'm not.
That's what you're doing.
No, I'm not. I'm not touching that. That's not going to be anything but the tithe fund.
Okay. Okay. I need
guarantee you return
but what I'm
exactly.
saying
and it's not being depleted.
It's
right.
if
anything happens to me.
What's paradoxical about tithing is that people think that just like spending, when you have a mindset that I'm spending money, you look like you're like, what? Is your brain is okay?
It is. I was just thinking that, to your point about, I think it's healthy to be cynical about things that are imbalanced in our world, like charity, like foundation, where it doesn't become about grace, but it's because it's a transaction.
Somebody benefits, and I'm not taking away from who it benefits. By the way, I don't want you to think that I think that charities are not good.
I think in that realm it's perfectly fine. It serves its purpose, but I don't think that should be confused with being. If we're going to have a conversation about, is there such thing as altruism? Is there such thing as about being charitable? I think that it's become this thing where everyone does it, and so there's an imbalance between what the charity.
It's not really tithing. It's not really. It's not really giving first fruits.
It's been co-opted as something else.
It's not painful.
We're talking about two different things, and you're going to stop conflating tithing with charity at this juncture.
I just said it's not.
No,
I said it's not.
Like the initial thing is talking about having and giving with a return, or having and giving gracefully without
for example,
back.
Walmart has a foundation. Walmart also does not pay its employees livable wages.
Right.
Walmart employees, a lot of them, have to get
welfare.
On welfare. They have to get public assistance.
Right.
If Walmart would take that, whatever their charitable fund, whatever it is, and really just paid their employees a livable wage, they would not need to have a charity.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's coming because of what we talked about. Remember, I told you the business roundtable. We didn't recircle to that. But so now, corporate America, the same Friday that we had that conversation, the establishment called Business Roundtable for all of corporate America, Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of Chase Morgan Bank, says that we now need to make our employees the first value in corporate America, and not the shareholder value.
Absolutely.
So after shareholder now, and now it's employees first.
Slow clap.
Right. It's slow clap. It's slow clap. But listen, the woman that called him out, the reporter that called him out last year at the Business Roundtable, and he said, she said to him, a teller at your bank is on welfare. Because she's only making $400, and he said, "I have to examine that." I remember. I watched that conversation. So that reporter was on TV that Friday night on Bill Maher's Real Time, and she did the slow clap because she was like, "Yeah." I mean,
because a lot of it. I mean, I don't want to be cynical about these things, but I also understand that the corporate dynamic says that if I'm doing
with a purpose, though, not cynical just to be cynical.
If we're going to be doing this, it is for a reason other than altruism. It's for a reason other than other than grace.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's doing this probably because he was embarrassed, but
No, they're doing it for the reason you just said.
What?
That. It actually earns.
It works.
It actually earns the money.
It works.
If they have employees
what I'm saying is
who have built-in value to the company, who put the company first, so they're not actually losing money. They're actually theoretically could finally be making more money
because the trickle-down thing doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I'm saying is it took him being embarrassed.
It's trickle up now. It's not trickle down.
It took him being embarrassed to be motivated enough to find a way to do it.
Again,
and I do believe
the Scrooge scenario.
Or they hit rock bottom. Or they hit rock bottom.
Right. I say rock bottom.
There's no place for these companies to go. Right.
Like, oh,
These
there's more
companies
money
can't
to
go
be
anyplace.
had here?
They can't. Right. But also, our employees aren't even buying. Like, I mean, just one quick thing: Microsoft employees that are trying to sell Office, the online Office version of Office. Guess what they're using? They're using Google Docs because they don't even believe in the product that Google Docs works. So it's like so that in itself, if you have an employee that's not able to save, the reporter said that teller can't save money in her own account.
And back in the day, like this olden days, if you were a teller at your bank, you worked at the bank, you had a bank account from that bank.
Right.
But
right.
Not now. The fees and all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, son, you're doing it wrong.
It's in a credit union. It's in a credit union.
You're doing it
wrong. It's usually in the union, the credit union that the person's in. So not the bank that they work at.
And I feel like, we'll say this, drug companies have it all figured out. They make sure that their sales, drug reps, I was a drug rep, are well paid. They got a company car. They're taken care of.
Petty cash.
You know what I'm saying? They got all the things. So they go out
of free drugs to give out.
It's called samples. They do all the things, and I feel like that was the business model that everybody missed. Drug companies are trillion. They're terrible, but you know what I'm saying? You get it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, ultimately.
So, but their business model, they put their frontline employees first. And I think a lot of companies, their greed allowed them to have CEOs making 480% more than everyone else in the company, and their company sucks. And their employees are angry, and they don't believe in the product. And if you treat people like widgets, guess what? You're going to have a widgety company.
Widgety.
Listen,
it's a new word, widgety.
Widgety. This company is widgety. DJ
widgety whack.
DJ Frosty Phoenix.
Can you play the song since you're...
That joint's 7 minutes long.
No, I'm not gonna play all of it.
Just play 1 second of it.
No.
Just like that.
Really? The hateration up here, boy.
Which song is it?
Where?
I don't know. We're about to find out.
Sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they've faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future, or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never cross.
What is that?
So this was something that struck me in the 90s. This was a song from, I think it was the summer of 98. Everybody wears sunscreen.
Yeah.
Everybody's free. Well, it says everybody's free to wear sunscreen.
Right. Yeah, everybody's free. Everybody free. You know, the house music? Yeah, everybody free. You don't remember that house song?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this was a take on that, where this guy, they played it for a summer at every high school graduation and some college graduations. Because it was this
It was the version of I believe I can fly and I believe our children are our future.
And what you should do when you leave this dang on institution. You need to do this.
You have some sort of millennial vendetta happening in your soul.
Not vendetta.
It really feels.
I object.
I really feel
not
like
vendetta. I want them to win. I don't want them to lose. I don't want them to lose.
It's like
And I'm
every
working
week
this
is a
out
different version of a rant.
I'm working this out on the air.
I know, and I feel like there
is-
should be
which
like
is
a
great-
tapestry every month of Martin's rants against millennials.
Wait, you said
it's
you
not
want them
against-
to lose?
I want them to win.
Oh, you want them to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, and I
Which
want
is
me to
code
win.
word for lose.
Which is no, it's not. No, it's not.
Which is
It-
code
it's-
for complaint.
it's
Where's
just-
your
This
great?
should be called Martin's These Doggone Millennials.
No, because
you're
listen,
you're
listen,
the dude behind the
listen,
fence.
Listen, because
Listen.
I think that what I'm going to do is create a mentorship program
okay.
that is
Right.
fully funded
Okay.
for 2 years for anybody in their 30s. Because I think that's the
To what? What are you
Anybody-
mentoring?
what's the next step? How do they get exactly what you talk about? How do you get from
wealth
being in this place? Well, that, but also being in this place where you're not happy.
Yeah.
I keep
okay,
running into people in their 30s who are unhappy, and they ask me, "How are you smiling? And you're 48, and you don't have a college degree. Why are you smiling?" Like, how the guy at Verizon asked me, "How do we pay our bill every month?" Like literally, like it was like he's like, "No, but you have like 4 phones." I'm like, "Yeah, but we have clients that we're doing live streaming for that pay half of the bill or pay 3/4 of the bill." Well, how'd you do that? Yeah, and this guy's gorgeous. He's handsome. He has a great voice. He played basketball. Exactly. But then I asked him that, and he said, "I never thought about that." But see, again, no options. No one's saying to them, "You could try this. You could do that."
mean that in the gig economy, in the year of our Lord,
Yes.
2019,
Yes.
Al Gore's internet. I'm trying to use all the
People
millennial
born in
phraseology.
people born in 84.
It's also ironic.
People born in 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89.
Yes.
He said, "Hit
Have
my
no
ear."
clue what's next.
Yeah.
And they need that.
Okay, so I have a quick prescription that can
Yes.
help with this. It's a really quick prescription.
Because we only have like 90
Because we
seconds
really do.
Breaking in.
Meditate for discernment, to connect, to tune in, right? And tithe. And tithing, the actual definition of tithing is you recirculate 10% of everything that comes in to the place where you receive your spiritual food. That does not mean charity. It means you are I don't like to say gifting because it doesn't come from you. You work for it, but it doesn't come from you. So you're putting it back into the ether. 10% of everything that comes in. Okay? Just give it 90 days. Let me know how check back. Those two things. There'll be a third one.
I think the other thing is one other piece of that is that to journal what comes.
And journal, yes.
Journal
Writing
what
it down.
comes
Yeah.
Writing it
in
down
that
brings to life.
meditation.
Yeah.
And then asking
Life Explorer.
trusted,
Yeah.
not knuckleheads, but trusted people about the thoughts you got in your journal and
goals.
Receive.
Yeah, goals.
Receive
And
that
having
feedback.
goals. You write down
goals.
like 5 or 10
Right.
goals that you
Short-term
want
goals.
to short and long-term
And
goals,
long-term
things
goals.
you
Other
want to
people
experience. Yeah.
in your circle and receive that feedback.
Yeah.
That's gonna go.
So
on.
we're gonna go
Excellent
around the room
recipe.
real quick because we at our time.
Yes.
What have you learned? What's your biggest takeaway from today's show? 30 seconds.
Me?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were. She
Oh,
pointed
that's
at
it.
you.
Go around the room.
wasn't
Like,
looking.
yeah, it's like,
He wasn't looking. He
You
wasn't
want
looking.
to you want to start?
My biggest takeaway from today is figuring out how to place your grace, how to just be a kind person, I guess you could say, while at the same time like building your own self-wealth, you know what I mean? And only to Martin's point, I'll make it quick, is everybody can be a mentee, but not everybody knows how to be a mentee. And by that I mean putting effort into what you want to bring to your future, and what that needs to be taught as well as where they need to go. So I'm just pointing that out there. But
Okay.
it's just that, and that was the point we made in the lounge a few days ago. Like, not like being a mentee is actually also like you have to put effort into being a mentee. Like, you know, I want to learn how to be this, but you can't shadow somebody and just say, I'm gonna sit there and just take it in. It's not. You're not a sponge. You have to do it. Like I did it. I shadowed Troy Wilmore. I shadowed a couple of people here at WordRate, and I'm doing what I've learned, and now I'm talking on the radio too, which is, but again, just bringing it in there,
There's a
sticking
little
it
stuff
out.
in your chest.
Right.
This is real. It's real
Right.
in there. Be careful, you might get a fire session or whatever it's called.
Nah, I don't know about that. You just lit out here. That's my piece.
Go ahead.
I the takeaway I have for this show is that I feel blessed to be part of the woo-woo laboratory because it allows me the space and license to investigate stuff that I probably didn't think I had the time or the place to investigate. So I want to shout out to the Envy McKee show for allowing that space to exist to do deep dives within its 3 hours.
Yeah, man.
And interestingly, what comes out of that deep dive. And I still need to, for me, the takeaway is that the allowance, because I still am unpacking what we discussed and applying it to me myself as an individual, and also as a husband, and also as a coworker. So it's a lot to as far as grace goes.
Yeah. What about you, Jima?
What I take from this show is that grace emanates from wholeness. And it ties back to you talking about your daughter, about, you know, making sure that she understands that it's about leaving something for the next person that follows. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you have to martyr or sacrifice yourself, going back to the point of being whole. But that from that flows grace. The type of grace that we don't have to be cynical about and which should be something different, but one that we just experience.
How do we reach you?
Oh.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to, because it's the school year. She don't want to be reached. My biggest takeaway from this show is I feel like we need to have more of these conversations.
That's why we started.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like that we need to have more of these conversations because I feel like we don't talk about it enough. And if we did, I feel like the way we walked in the world, because this is not hard stuff. You know, and it's not really that woo-woo if you think about it. This is like basic
It's like
existing as a human 101, right?
It's like breathing.
So with that being said, we need to have more of these conversations, and we need you in more of these conversations.
Yes.
So every Friday night, 7 to 10, this is the Envy McKee Show. Be a part of it. Star people, come on now. Woo-woo crew, where are you? We're putting together the Women in White, and we'll give you more details when that happens. Again, this is the Envy McKee Show on behalf of all of us. DJ Frosty Phoenix, Martin the Man, Dr. Jima, who's here every first and third Fridays. We thank you so much for joining us for the Woo Woo Laboratory. I am Envy McKee. Levine House. Freedom Sounds of Jazz is up next. Levine House, Star people. Peace.